normal.
RCP chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly!
Tango down to nominal.
Fighting outside SC off. Bring in SC off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
Hello and welcome to Starbase. On what should be, hopefully, a pretty big night here. We have pad has been cleared, the road has been closed, and most importantly, Mary has received her alert notice that they are going for a test tonight, hopefully a static fire test. I am Stephen Marr. I'm a photographer here for NASA Spaceflight. I'm also joined by my good pal Jack Beyer, also another photographer. How you doing, Jack?
What's up, Steven? Hopefully we get a static fire of SN... Oh my god, what's wrong with me? Of Ship 20 tonight. Old habits die hard.
And also with us tonight we have Ian Atkinson. How you doing, Ian?
I'm doing good, Steven. How are you?
I'm very well. And also we have Adrian Bile. How you doing, Adrian?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to some more thrust today.
Yes, yeah, because we did get the we got the pre-burner test a few days ago, so no thrust there, right? But tonight, I know. Let's see. So give us a rundown. Actually, before I throw it to you, in chat, make sure you're tagging at NASA Spaceflight with your questions. We've got a nifty little queue here made by Michael Baylor, who's actually pulling the strings right now, producing the show for us. So hit that at NASA Spaceflight. We'll try to get as many questions answered as we can. Let's see, who wants to give us a rundown, like how many engines we got on Ship 20? What are we sort of expecting tonight? Adrian, should I throw it to you? You wanna try to grab that?
Yeah, I can start. It looks like we have 2 engines installed on this prototype. We have one sea level and one Raptor vacuum engine. And what they did previously to this prototype was an engine pre-burner test. We saw that on, I think, Monday? Should be Monday. With them going very late into the window for that pre-burner test. And yeah, it looks like now that that is out of the way, the next thing might be a static fire, which compared to the previous pre-burner test, ignites the main chamber and produces thrust.
Yeah, so we'll see like a big cloud of dust kicked up, right?
Yeah, that we didn't see on Monday. It was just like a big fireball going up in the vehicle and a small little fire below the vehicle after that.
Yeah, it was bright,
extinguished.
Yeah. It was very bright, but it was not thrust-inducing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the pre-burner test, very bright, a lot of action. It looks like a lot's going on, but in reality, you're getting the engines are just barely even on in the slightest.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's see. We've got a couple of questions rolling in already. John M. asks, how many engines are we expecting to fire tonight? We know we've got 2 up underneath there, but do we have any kind of predictions on which ones or if both might be fired?
Yeah, no, not really. So, like Adrian said, there's one sea level, one Raptor, one vacuum Raptor installed on this vehicle. So you have 2 engines, each a different type. We've never seen them do a static fire of a Raptor vacuum on the pad, mostly because no Starship's ever had a Raptor vacuum on it before. So we don't know exactly what they're planning to do. Maybe just test the sea level engine, maybe test both at once, because you are going to have them firing simultaneously during flight probably. So you'll have to test that at some point. So it'll be interesting to see what engines they choose to fire tonight if we see a static fire.
Yeah, I think there's an Elon tweet somewhere about firing all 6 engines right from the get-go after SEP so that they minimize gravity losses, or at least I'm making that up. But I feel like there was an Elon tweet about that at some point.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And, well, speaking of Elon tweets, we did have a question. Has Elon commented on the pre-burner test? Has he said anything at all?
Not that
I do not think, yeah. He did not mention it.
It's a relatively small test, so I don't think there'd be a comment unless something major happened, it was a big milestone, or if there was a problem.
Yeah. Fair enough. Stephanie Ball wants to know, is this static fire using the header tanks or the main tanks?
we don't really know at this point, I think. We will get an indication closer to T0, because what we saw with the previous pre-burner test is that they utilized the header tank, or at least filled it up, because there was frost coming from the nose cone where the header tank, or one of the header tank is. So we will get an indication if the header tanks are used in this test, but we don't know at this point if they will use it.
John Mark wants to know, what exactly is a pre-burner test? Somebody want to go into a little more detail on what exactly that is?
Pre-burner is the little mini rocket engine, sort of, in a way, that fuels the turbo pumps, right? Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So it's like the engine that powers the engine in a kind of hilarious way, but if you think about it, it makes sense that the rocket engine itself, the main chamber, needs extremely large amounts of propellant at just the right, and I think extremely high pressures. So you need pumps that are turbo pumps to handle a job like that, and to power those, you use some of the same fuel that powers the main rocket engine. So it's like a smaller engine that's part of the larger engine. Some rockets, like I think Rocket Lab's Electron, uses electric turbo pumps. So different types of engine cycles and different types of engines use different setups there. But Raptor has two pre-burners, one for the liquid oxygen and one for the methane. And I'm going to start getting out of my scope here real quick, but Raptor is a full-flow staged combustion engine, right?
Right.
So part of what that means is how those pre-burners get their fuel and what they do with their exhaust.
Because like the Merlin, if you watch a Merlin engine burn, you see like a black smoke coming out another exhaust spot, right? Because isn't that, and I'm really out of my scope. I mean, I have a big understanding on how these rocket
totally
engines work, but yeah, they have like you said, like another kind of rocket engine inside that's powering those turbo pumps, and the exhaust from that comes out much darker because it's either fuel rich or oxygen rich, right?
I think fuel rich, but I could be mistaken. Ian?
Yeah, so like the Merlin engine on Falcon 9, that is a fuel-rich turbo pump, fuel-rich pre-burner. And the reason it's fuel-rich is because you don't want to have it stoichiometric, big fancy word, which essentially means having it perfectly efficient, perfect amounts of oxygen and fuel. Because if it's stoichiometric, yes, it's more efficient, but it is so hot. It is very difficult to contain. It can melt. Rocket engines themselves, as far as I know, don't even run stoichiometric. They run a little fuel-rich or a little oxygen-rich, usually fuel-rich. But with Raptor, they have two turbo pumps, one fuel-rich and one oxygen-rich. So the fuel-rich and oxygen-rich combine together in the main combustion chamber, and that's how Raptor gets its thrust. So it runs all its fuel, all its oxygen through the turbo pumps, and that's why Raptor is so efficient and so revolutionary.
Yeah, that's what makes this a full-flow staged combustion, full flow. They're not chucking that pre-burner exhaust over the side like on Merlin. They're reintegrating it back into the main combustion chamber, and all of it is flowing. It's a full flow. That's a little deep dive on pre-burners and rocket engines at the beginning of the stream. Yay!
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way that we get anything of this wrong.
Yeah. and isn't Raptor like the first or one of the first full flow stage combustion engines to actually take flight?
Yes.
It is
it's the first, I think. Yeah.
And I believe it's the second one ever to make a test stand. There's been one in the past to be fully tested, and one was like a demonstration test article that made it to testing, but not a full engine.
It's like the third that even made it past initial design.
Very
like the first one that only was built.
So when Starhopper flew, that was the first flight of a full flow staged combustion engine, at least an American one. I can't speak for what Russia's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to put y'all on the spot, but is it possible to sort of explain why? Like, what makes it so difficult to do it this way?
Because you have a oxygen-rich pre-burner, and oxygen is extremely reactive as a gas, especially a hot gas. I think the ox-rich pre-burner is part of it, and part of it is just the complexity of the plumbing and whatnot involved. Does anyone else want to try and jump on that? I know the ox-rich preburner is a real pain.
Yeah, having anything oxygen rich, because oxygen loves to react, because iron rusts because of oxygen in the air. Oxygen loves to react with things, so dealing with that is an issue, yeah. Also, it's having to have both turbo pumps running simultaneously at this perfect pressure. It's difficult to balance all of that together, and also having the main combustion chamber. So you have to balance really 3 rocket engines per rocket engine and make sure they're all in sync with each other.
And then you get to the point where you have a super heavy booster, which has many engines with many preburners that you all have to balance together. So then you get in the point where it gets really complex, and you have to balance all of these things out, and everything has to work for a successful ignition.
All right. Let's see. We got one super chat's come in. Will Cooper, will they fire only the vacuum Raptor they tested the pre-burner on? Of course, we did already mention that we're not sure, exactly how they're going to do this. But yeah, does anybody want to add to that?
That would make sense. You do a pre-burner and then you do a full engine test. Yeah, that would make sense. That's plausible.
Yeah.
Or to turn it around, if you wanted to do both engine static fires, why wouldn't you do both engine pre-burners? Maybe that is also another angle how you can frame it.
I mean, it could be that Raptor has had enough testing on Starship that they wouldn't feel the need to do a pre-burner on the sea level Raptor, and since the vacuum Raptor is newly on a Starship on the pad, maybe they wanted to do a pre-burner on that first. I don't even know that. Do we know that it was the RVac pre-burner, or if it was just I'm not sure if we know.
It looked like it. Like in the replays we saw it. It looked really big, and it looked a bit unusual from what we saw before. So yeah, it's at least I would suspect it was the RVac.
Yeah, I mean, that cloud of gas that ignited was quite huge. Maybe that could partially be explained by the larger space inside the nozzle for gas to accumulate. That's just me completely guessing, though.
And also with Raptor Vac, I don't believe. I'm slightly speculating here, but I don't believe they have the capability to test Raptor Vacuum in a vertical configuration at McGregor. So they do have three vertical Raptor stands, but I'm not sure if they're able to fit a Raptor Vac. So engines do perform a little differently horizontal versus vertically, so that might have been good to get a little bit of initial data on how it works.
Yep, makes sense.
Is there a huge difference between testing vertically and horizontally?
I mean, completely different stresses on the turbines and all the turbo machinery. God, what a cool word, turbo machinery.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's completely different stress. I think, not to repeat myself, but I feel like there might even be an Elon tweet or comment or something on the same nature where they can simplify Raptor by testing it vertically, because you can remove some stuff that you don't need when you're having to test it horizontally. I could be misremembering. Either way, yeah, different stresses on the engine completely.
Yep.
All right, and Zach Collins wanted to know why bother static firing only 1 or 2 engines. I don't see why they didn't wait for all the Raptors to be installed.
You always have the part of A. Is that one of your goals? Do you want to just test one single part of the whole thrust system? Also, you have risk reducing. Because if you test with 6 engines and something goes wrong, you might lose 6 engines. If you only have 2 installed and something goes wrong, you might only lose 2 engines. So it's always a part of risk reducing, and also what you kind of wanted to achieve with your test.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense incrementally to do that. And if you also, just probably a small thing, but perhaps something to also consider, when there's 6 engines in that engine bay, there is much less space to maneuver around and work. There's only 2 engines on there right now. Since this is the first time they're testing an RVac, and there's much more space, it's much easier to move around in there and fiddle with something if you need to tweak something, change something, or fix something on the fly. But that's, I'm sure, relatively a minor consideration.
Yeah, and also too, Ship 20 is the first Starship overall to have not just a Raptor vacuum installed, but also mounting points for Raptor vacuum. So you're dealing with a modified thrust dome now. So maybe they're testing the stresses to make sure that the Raptor vac hold down points are attached correctly and that it's the stresses are fine, doesn't vibrate enough. We don't know exactly what's going on. They could just be testing one at a time just to make sure that their design modifications work.
Yeah, also they modified a lot of plumbing with this ship. We saw that in the previous pre-burner test that a lot of vents that we used to see on certain spots changed areas. So this is like a totally different plumbing design possibly, and how they manage this ship, since they now have the TPS on one side and they obviously can't vent something through the TPS. So they have to change that as well and check if that is working, is all correct.
Well, and to go along with that, Paul Riddle asked, did the TPS get repaired?
I do not think so.
Recently.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Not after the little the pop with the header tank vent during the cryo test.
Right.
Although I'm not seeing on the side-on view, I'm not seeing a patch of white like we were the other day after the test. So maybe they just removed a blanket, or
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I see a patch of something. Kind of hard to... Let me bring this over
Yeah, I think
here.
at the
blow it
top
up.
right above the flap, you can
Yep.
see the area where it suffered some damage during the pre-burner test.
Yeah, it looks... I think I see something. It's right above... right above the flap there. You can kind of see something. Let's see here. I kind of try to make these questions kind of run together, kind of make sense together. Let's see. Well, since we're talking about TPS, Matthias Aldenate says, do you think the next ships will be fully covered in tiles?
I mean, this is about as fully covered as I think we're going to expect.
Yeah, unless there's some during re-entry and they need more tiles, this is probably as much as we're going to get.
Yeah, like the points like below the forward flap there, where like it's sort of like a triangle that extends around to the leeward side. Like that's there because of modeling that they've done. That they expect that to be sort of a hot spot, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Also,
The
that
aerodynamics
will-
with the fins.
Also, that will probably change a bit since the fin design at the top will change again, as confirmed by Elon.
Right, they're a little
The-
smaller or something now.
Smaller,
and closer to the leeward side, like tucked
yeah.
further back. It's going to look really interesting when they make those changes.
They basically want to reduce static arrow, right?
Yeah,
That is in the wind.
The static arrow is the parts of the flaps that are attached to the body that do not move, like the hinges, basically. We want to minimize that on the forward part of the ship. I always thought those little TPS projections looked like sideburns. It's like kind of got like a chrome Elvis type like sideburn situation going on.
Now I want to see that.
Starship has left the building.
Has left the pad.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see. There's a couple other super chats have rolled in here. Mr. Tagnan, weren't a bunch of Russian engines like the RD-58 staged combustion? Is that different from full flow staged combustion? Also, hi, Adrian.
Hello.
But yeah, with that question, so yeah, Russian engines, for decades now at this point, they have had a lot of staged combustion engines. Even the RD-180 that flies on the Atlas, that's a staged combustion, but that's not full flow staged combustion, which means not all of the propellants flow through the turbopump. So on the Atlas V, on the RD-180, I believe it's an oxygen-rich turbopump. So a lot of oxygen flows through the turbopump, but only a little bit of fuel, and the rest of the fuel goes directly into the engine. So a lot of the Russian engines don't have two turbopumps like Raptor. They just have one turbopump, and it's still very efficient, and it's a lot less complex. So yes, Russian engines do have staged combustion cycles, but not full flow like Raptors.
I was like, I'm letting Ian take this one. He's going to get it right.
Now that I saw the name, by the way, Hello Rat, it's a friend of mine, so hey.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, and Matt Hurton talking about the the oil rigs here. Okay, so the drill rigs float. So when millions of pounds of fuel and rocket leave it, the entire structure will rise out of the water at engine ramp up and takeoff. I wonder how they will deal with this. I've never even thought of that.
I mean, they can probably engineer a system where they chuck a bunch of water ballast over the side, or intake it. I guess
intake,
they would need to do it like very rapidly. I mean,
Sort
surely
of how submarines do it, right?
yeah, it would have to be a lot and very quickly. But yeah, that's an interesting question. I've sort of seen it talked about before, but my thinking is if you're going to go through the trouble of decking out these drill rigs and completely rebuilding them, that's gonna be something they have thought of and considered, and I bet you would involve some sort of like rapid ballasting, or maybe it's just not even necessary. You know, maybe it's like, yeah, the rocket takes off, the ship, the drill rig rises, the rocket keeps rising because it has rocket engines, and all is right in the world. I mean, that's a very interesting thought experiment. I wonder what that will end up.
Well, yeah, and I wonder how much of a difference, because it matters how much the rig weighs itself. So like, what's the percentage of mass that's leaving it?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that would have some effect on how much it rises out?
No,
of
good
the
thinking.
water.
Very good point.
Also, these rigs are built, correct me if I'm wrong, to be like flexible in even harsher conditions, since they are out of at the sea, and there can be storms there. So, in general, it is good when something moves instead of if it doesn't move, since when it moves, it can avoid the forces that you otherwise have to deal with. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And Harry Young with a super chat wanted to say, congrats to the community here for raising $4,000 through calendar sales and store tips for Jenny's recovery. Yeah, Jenny is, I think she's stable. She's a wonderful human being. I've not been on the stream recently to comment, and I know her personally, and she's just one of the most loved people out here on the Space Coast in the photography community. She's always out at the port, and giving great photos for everyone to just see kind of what's going on, and our hearts definitely go out to her. So glad that she's doing as well as she is, and if you're in a position where you can throw a couple bucks at that GoFundMe, they did hit the goal of 50,000, which is totally awesome. But that doesn't mean that that they won't take any more, because they're expecting her to have quite a while of rehabilitation in the months and maybe even years to come. So any help that y'all can give towards Jenny's recovery is greatly appreciated. She's definitely loved in the community.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, and Zachary J, I'm already feeling nostalgic from waiting for SN8 to fire. I missed these streams. Well, we're glad to be back waiting for a static fire, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Feels
Jack
good.
and I had nostalgic feelings with the pre-burner test, because it was one of these late nights going very to the end of the window tests, and that feel very nostalgic to me, having these long running tests over the whole window. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, what was the last static fire? Was it
Booster 3.
It was, and that was my first day ever being at Starbase. I showed up, and then like an hour later, it like static fire. Like it
Nice.
was.
Can you
that
go
was
again?
Super cool.
Yeah, go back.
Yeah, go again. Yeah. Maybe I'm like the good luck charm or something. Okay, back into the question bag here. I'm not gonna try this. Well, yes, I will. Dylan Foxe. Okay, we'll go with that. Mechazilla is sitting itself on the tower. How long do you think till it gets its cable winch? Yeah, so yeah, we've got the chopsticks are installed on the tower. That's super exciting. I remember seeing those pieces arrive at Starbase, not knowing what in the heck those were. They were just like black tubes. They were partially, like some pieces were sort of welded together, but I had no. It's just like, oh, look at this. I took some pictures and some clips maybe of it, but I literally had no idea. It's so cool to see those installed on the tower now.
Yeah, for so long it was like, what are these going to be? What is this giant tubular thing that's getting assembled on the landing pad?
What is the meaning of this?
I think the cable is already installed. At least some cable has been installed on the tower. I don't know if it's been run, but there's like a giant spool of cable at the base of the tower. I think there's like a whole draw works down there as well, like with a big electric winch and all that stuff. So it's just a matter of when do they string the cable, which would make sense if that's next, given that the chopsticks are now and carriage are now on the tower. Now it's like, okay, run the cable to the carriage. That would seem like a good thing to be looking out for here coming up.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them testing it out, moving it around. I know a lot of people have asked, like, how fast will it move up and down, and how fast will its arms be able to go in and out? It's going to be really interesting to see that thing work.
Yeah, it's going to be mind-breaking. Go ahead, Eugene.
Yeah, I would guess it will be at least reasonably fast, since that thing needs to catch boosters.
Yeah.
So, I think the speed will at least surprise some people. It won't be super slow. It can't. Like, it needs to be at least decently fast.
Right, yeah, it's got to react to the position of the booster, like, in real time as it's coming down.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear what that whole mechanism sounds like.
Oh, yeah. Closed up sound recordings.
Just like large electric motors and cables and things spinning. It's gonna be cool.
Kind of along that same vein, Sammy Miami said, where do you guys think the chopsticks will stay during launch? Love hearing from you all and looking forward to a static fire.
In my head, they kind of like hug the booster until it's time to lift off, and then literally at liftoff they do like a throwback, kind of like the transporter erector in Kennedy. But I mean, good question. I guess they could.
Yeah, like, are they going to be straddling? Like, are the arms going to be on either side of Starship, or are they going to be kind of like off to a side?
I don't think they can put them off to the side while there's a vehicle on the mount.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense? Because they can't go up over it to move one of the arms.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're necessarily going to have to be around the vehicle. It's just a matter of, are they actually physically next to the vehicle, or are they at their widest so that they don't get any damage from the exhaust from those rocket engines? Because that's going to be, that's going to make some toasty marshmallows, that's for sure.
I have the scene from Titanic right now in my mind of them standing at the top of the ship with hands out to the sides. I can't get that out of my head right now. That's, oh my god.
The tower is Jack, and then Starship is I can't remember her name in the movie.
Marie or something.
Or Rose.
There, yeah, I was way off. Wow.
Yeah.
Marie.
Oh man. Wow, very generous. $50 coming in from Arish Taymorian. Hey friends, thanks for all that you do. We came a long way from watching flying water towers, didn't we? So beautiful. Well, thank you very much. It's very generous of you. Let's see. Going back into the question queue. Remember, you can @ NASA Spaceflight with your burning questions, and I will see those. And I'm trying to sort of grab, the most interesting ones, or ones that maybe lots of people are asking. Even if it's a question you feel like everybody already knows this, there are lots of people listening to the stream that maybe they're new to spaceflight and they don't know. So feel free, ask any kind of questions, and we'll try to get them answered. Let's see. Oh, that one I already did. Stoked but broke said, first orbital flight scheduled for March due to FAA, or any update? ?
You mean the document that the NASA will be able to look at the test starting March 2022 about the TPS, I think, was it, right?
Yeah.
So I saw some comments about that, and I think what the case is here is that just NASA says that they are able to watch it starting March 2022, but they never refer to a specific launch or a specific vehicle. So I wouldn't connect that to an the earliest possible flight date. Of course, they still have loads of things to do before they can do an orbital launch. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see an orbital launch around that area. But in the end, I wouldn't connect these two.
Yeah, I completely agree. Wouldn't really necessarily connect the two, but if you told me you were expecting an orbital launch finally around March of next year, I'd be like, yep, it's a good bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like February, March, I think when you would poll right now people, when do you expect an orbital launch? A lot of people would answer February or March. Like, that's a decent guess.
All right. A couple super chats with no comment. I'll just throw those up there. Let's see. Miguel Angel and also Lynn Tosh. Thank you guys very much for that support. James Vickers asked, why static fire now? Won't they just have to go through it all again prior to launch in 3 to 4 months?
I mean, if they
gathering data is always good, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I would
exactly.
have said. Data good.
Yeah, and you have a lot of time now to fix anything if it's wrong because, yeah, the orbital launch pad's nowhere near ready for flight right now. So why not take some testing now while you have everything ready, fix things that you need fixing so you're not delaying the launch very close to launch, and test it again if need to.
Yeah,
Also,
and-
upper stages for Falcon 9s get fired months before flight because at some point they get stacked onto the booster, and that's the case. Like, we are used to seeing Starship standing alone, but in the end, this is the upper stage. So this will stand on top of a super heavy booster, and at some point they can't really static fire it anymore because when the vehicle is stacked, there's a booster below it. So, it's not that unusual for SpaceX to test fire second stages months before their launch.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's also it's not necessarily just about the orbital launch in terms of the data that they want to gather. We just talked about firing Raptor in a vertical position, and we don't know that they have the ability to do that at McGregor. It could be that they fire Vacuum Raptor vertically on Starship now and gather data, and that informs further iterations of Vacuum Raptor going down the line, and maybe some of those are the ones that actually end up flying on Starship when it does its first orbital test. It could be that the ones that they have right now are plenty good, but just another thought about more data being a good thing to gather regardless of whether or not you're going to necessarily fly immediately.
More data, good.
Yes, more data, more better.
Yeah. Miguel Angel came in with another super chat, this time with a question. Is there a fire suppression system on the OLP?
I
Not
believe we've
that I'm
seen
aware.
one.
Condenser.
Oh,
Oh,
There
yep.
we go. That's the
That's-
methane recondenser spooling up.
Oh, great sign.
Yes, starting Excel.
Adrian, want to explain what the recondenser means?
Yes, give me a second to put in
He's-
time.
He's starting Excel. Give him like 30 seconds. He's got to get a spreadsheet going.
Use
But
your
it basi-
frantic typing.
It basically means this is the start of conditioning of the propellant and loading into the vehicle. We sort of think that this is the beginning of cooling down everything that needs to be cooled down, and once we see the prop lines and everything to the vehicle start to frost up and the vehicle itself become active, then we'll move into propellant loading itself. But this is the sort of start of the flow here and the start of what is trackable, and in the past has given us an indication of where we're at in the count. Adrian, did I give you enough buffer there?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you. Yeah, it's the first good step on the way to a static fire, and also to point out where it is, since sometimes people ask where it is. If you look at the left cam that is displayed right now, you can see between all. Oh, that's better. Yeah, let's go with this one. You see the three vertical tanks on the left side, and from there is a white cloud coming basically from the top of the right tank, and that's the recondenser. And like the
Yeah, there's a
behavior
big
we
puff
see
right
right
there. You
now,
can definitely see it.
yeah, that's exactly what we want to see. Like, this looks good. This is a good start to the countdown action. And yeah, when this puffs up, when you see this releasing white clouds, you're always in the area where you should really start to watch more closely to the countdown. Because next up, the next big thing we see is usually propellant loading, or like getting the tank farm spooling up and then propellant loading. And yeah, this is like the exciting times.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been around for some streams that you've not been on, but we'll be like looking to you like, hey, Adrian, what's your estimate? And then you'll give us a time, but then you'll come back and be like, don't hold me to that and stuff. But as it stands right now, what's a ballpark? Because I know that you've been tracking this stuff for a long time, so you've got some data to go off of. Remember, data good. So
yeah.
What would your very
really
rough
good
estimate be?
This might be a little bit longer, but we saw with the previous pre-burner test that they went faster than I expected, which is unusual. Usually I underestimate the T0 and not overestimate it. And currently the spreadsheet predicts 7:17:36 for T0, but that's with the old data. With the data we had from the pre-burner test, I would maybe more look in the area of 7:10. So we will see where it finally settles on, but yeah, somewhere in that area, 7:10 to 7:20, would say as a first guess.
And we can sort of refine that as time goes on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So as like tank farm activity begins, we'll look and see like frost rings forming and stuff like that, and we can sort of try to pinpoint roughly when to expect the old Raptors to fire up, or Raptor. We don't know. We'll see. Yeah, and hopefully that's another point. Hopefully we'll be able to tell sort of definitively was it one or two, and maybe even which one. I don't know. I wonder if the other angle gives us a good enough look underneath. Ooh.
It's always also for me really cool to have the second data point, because one can be a fluke, two is a pattern.
So what is the next data point you're looking for? Is it methane vent?
No, the next one is fueling. So to explain that indicator, we have great wind for that. That's good.
We have tank farm. Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Nice. So the next thing we will see after tank farm activity is that currently the condensation is very, very focused on the tank farm. There's nothing on the ship. At some point, you will see some sort of vent going closer to the vehicle, which indicates that there's some sort of fuel line which frosts up and produces clouds. And shortly after that, we see that the thrust dome at the bottom of the ship is getting frosty. We see condensation from that. So that's the next thing I'm really tracking: the fueling vent, the skirt vent, in the area of that. That indications that fueling of the ship has begun.
Right on. Okay, I'm going to try to not get too far behind on questions and super chats and whatnot. So let's try to power through some before we get too far behind. Jim Cavett says, "Thanks, guys. My calendar is on the way." Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. And look for August in there. I have a photo of the Starbase sign. That one's mine, and I think Jack has a couple photos in there. And yeah, so we've got the whole team sort of contributed what we could to that calendar. Y'all go over to the shop and enjoy that. Mike Costello says, "Is it possible that the B3 remains will have a reinforcement ring and catch mounts added, filled with water for weight and used from a crane to test/practice the catch system and processes?"
I don't think so. It doesn't really make sense to use B3 for that. They took the forward section off of it. You would think that they would want to leave that forward section on if they were going to use it for testing, since that's the part that has the catch points.
Yeah, agreed. And I mean, maybe they'll just use Booster 4, hook it up to a crane, and just kind of push it in place. I don't know. But I mean, then again, the catch arms themselves are what's going to put Booster 4 and Ship 20 onto the launch pad. So get testing there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they could add stuff to B3 to make it a appropriate test article, but B3 at this point is obsolete and scrap, and there's no sense in wasting any more time on it. Apparently, not even to remove it from Pad A.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
I mean,
How little attention can you give to something?
we've seen the B 2.1 test tank. Maybe they use that for some sort of tower testing, but I suspect not even that. I suspect that's just going to be for further proof testing. But who knows? I mean, they're cranking away on Booster 5 as well. So, like Ian said, they could just use Booster 4 as a test article for the tower itself. And if anything happens to Booster 4, not the biggest deal because Booster 5 already ready to go and is probably a better design in various ways.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, who knows? Maybe the B 2.1 test tank could be for proof testing the orbital launch mount or something. Who knows?
Yeah, plans at Boca change fast sometimes. We saw them replacing vehicles and plans fast when new things came up or new vehicles are ready. So nothing is set in stone there, and I mean that's part of what they are trying to achieve there, being like really like really agile and try to improve things as they come up. So things can change fast.
All right. This one comes from Dylan Foxe. How long do you think it will take before they add the cable for the chopstick winch? We did sort of touch on that already. It's unclear, right? They have a spool
Yes.
of cable there, though, right, on the backside.
Yep.
So yeah, who knows? This is a wait and see. Keep your eyes on Starbase Live, of course, because that's where you're going to see anything happen. Oh, I forgot to throw that one up. There you go. And okay, David Dean. This is a little off topic, but where on the moon do you think the first permanent human settlement will be? Somewhere near the South Pole?
Probably, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think that's sort of the plan that they've talked about.
There's as a total planetary and like planetary body noob. Why South Pole?
There's a lot of water there. I think that's the main reason, as well as there's a lot of water. There's some permanently shadowed craters because it's at the South Pole. So if you go underground or below the surface, there's some areas where they've never been touched by sunlight that are just full of ice, of water ice. So a lot of water down there, which is useful for drinking, rocket fuel, blah blah blah.
One of the things I've wondered is why is our focus on the South Pole? I never hear anybody mention the North Pole. Are there not as many permanently shadowed craters around the North Pole?
Yeah, that's a good question. I really don't know the answer to that. I would guess the South Pole has more water, or maybe it's more easily accessible. I'm not sure.
All right, well, fair enough. Yeah, that is currently the goal, as far as I know. Is Artemis is going to focus sort of on the South Pole. Let's see. Donald Brent, can you foresee any scenario where SpaceX is not allowed to launch Starships from Boca Chica? It would be a major money loss given the investment so far.
We know that there's this current environmental statement going on, but at least I wouldn't suspect a complete no at this point, because I feel like if there would be a chance that this might turn into complete no, that would been like communicated before, because you don't want to have them spend years there and then tell them, oh, by the way, no. But yeah. I mean, there could be delay to the process. That could take some time to figure out how you want to do it, and what's the condition in which you want to allow operations there.
Right, yeah, it's another we'll have to wait and see sort of thing. Let's see. Peter J. Shaw, Elon announced Tesla will be making their own beer. Odds that B3 LOX tank becomes a fermentation tank?
There's a non-zero chance it becomes a water tower, that's for sure.
Yeah. I know go ahead, Jack.
I balked when Elon said they were going to catch the booster with the tower, so they've definitely announced stranger things.
Yeah.
Let's see. Unconsoled. Do you think there's a chance that they just use SN20, that's Ship 20, for supersonic testing, like testing tiles?
Probably not.
Yeah, it
They,
seems. Yeah.
yeah, they were considering doing hypersonic testing with Ship 16, but that never became a thing because they chose to go ahead with orbital testing instead. But yeah, it seems like they're pushing for just orbital testing. Let's throw it all at it, see what comes back.
I wouldn't be shocked if the FAA environmental assessment and it, like requires a new NEPA and there's all kinds of delays on the orbital side. They could probably still do suborbital testing, and maybe there would be a situation where they know they're going to have to wait a long time to get approval for an orbital launch, and so they go back to testing starships by themselves, and maybe they do something like that with Ship 20, but hopefully they can just go straight to orbital flight testing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, Ship 20 actually it doesn't have landing legs on it, so they need to install that. But that should be not incredibly difficult.
Yeah, that seems relatively trivial.
I mean, who needs landing legs? You can just catch it with... No, sorry.
All right. Let's see. Let's go back to the question bag. Okay. Yeah. This is about that hatch there down at the bottom. Why would they paint the hatch? Why not leave it stainless steel?
That's a great question that I asked myself, and I have no good answer to it, but it bugs me.
What Adrian said.
It looks cool.
Yeah, it does. It looks pretty sweet. I'll give you that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we've seen that hatch painted in such a way.
But it annoys me that the upper one is not painted. It annoys me that I don't know why it is inconsistent.
Maybe they just haven't gotten that far yet. I mean, was that hatch painted the other night? I guess at nighttime.
No, it's painted longer
Okay.
now.
Okay.
All right. It's me. Cooper wants to know when can we see Booster 4 static fire? Another unknown.
To repeat what Adrian said, that's a very good question, and we don't know the answer to that. Booster 4, the static fire for that, given that Booster 3 is just laying there on Pad A, it seems like they're waiting till the orbital launch pad is ready. Till the orbital launch pad can support testing to put Booster 4 on there in static fire. I guess they're just waiting to go for the gold. So probably a little bit after the orbital pad is finished, so maybe in the next month or two-ish at the earliest. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the best way to look at things like these in Boca is to look at it milestone-based. And if you like, we just saw the last cryo shell going to the pad, and now it takes some, like, it's not like you can just put a cryo shell on there and it's done. There's still some major plumbing that needs to be done, a major installment going on, and until that is done, that pad cannot really support testing, especially not static fire testing. And when that is done, they might put a booster on that pad again and then go into testing. But that is some time still and some milestones before that.
All right. This is such a good view. Dusk.
Yeah.
With
Oh,
those
yeah.
pinks. This is so cool.
Is
that
time for
a
testing?
vent?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, is that a cloud in the background, or is that?
I think that might be a cloud, yeah.
I think so. Yeah, the way it's slowly drifting, I think it's just a cloud.
Oh, what
No.
a tease.
For a second there,
Yeah.
I was like, no, it's a vent. We totally have a vent for sure. No, it's totally a cloud.
Yeah.
Oh, there is venting from the base of the launch pad. You see on the right-hand view a little bit of gases near the umbilical connection.
Oh, good eye. Look at that.
So, yeah, propellant loading, it looks like, is starting. There's actually some from
Wait.
under the skirt.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if this is sort of along those lines. Cinti, with the little alien emoji in their name, says, does Ship 20 have COPVs installed external or under the skirt, perhaps?
Oh,
Skirt.
yeah, inside the tanks and in the skirt, probably.
All right. Oh, yeah, definitely see that venting picking up underneath. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just chugging right along, aren't we?
This is a great
Currently,
countdown.
Yeah, the countdown follows the trajectory of the SN15 countdown so far.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
People want to know about Booster 3. Why is Booster 3 still on the stand? Are there any future plans for it?
Well, given that it's been cut in half and it's been sitting on the pad with an open tank for a few months now, I would guess not.
Yeah. It's just like there's so many other things that need to be done, and they don't necessarily need that pad to be vacated right now, I'm guessing. So they'll get around to breaking it down the rest of the way at some point. It's not necessary right now.
Yep.
Yeah, if you think about SN5 and SN6, they hung around for a while at the launch site before they finally got around to scrapping them. It's not necessarily that they are going to use them for anything further. It's just they'll scrap it when they're ready to scrap it, and when they have resources that they want to burn on that. Right now, all resources are being spent on other things.
Yep. And also, actually, they're using the area around Pad A as a staging area for equipment for the orbital launch site construction. So having to get Booster 3 off of the pad, it's not in the way of anything, really. It's just a little ugly just sitting there. But they would have to move stuff around, shuffle things, get a crane in there, get, I forget what they're called, SPMTs? Yeah, SPMTs in there to move it. So it'd just be unnecessary, really.
You want a fun mnemonic, Ian?
Yeah.
It's SpaceX's preferred method of transport. That's how you can remember the order. I kept mixing it up forever and forever, and then someone, I think in chat, said that, and now I never forget. It's SPMT, SpaceX preferred method of transport.
That's cool, actually.
Oh, what a view.
Oh, that's beautiful.
This is my favorite. I love this.
Yeah, I still can't get over how tall the boosters are. That is just monolithic.
Yeah.
I can't wait for a full stack.
Oh, yeah. A true full stack.
And Starhopper is just like, me too, over there.
Starhopper is very excited as well.
Yeah. Let's see. Flashberry said, how do you think the first booster and Starship catch attempts will go?
Boom.
Any predictions there? Boom. Is that what you said?
Yeah, sorry. Yep. I think it's not unreasonable to expect some mishaps in the early stages. We saw that with Falcon 9, that landing an orbital class booster is hard, and landing it on chopsticks on a side of a tower, it maybe not makes it easier. So, yeah, I go with boom, and if they beat my expectations, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, if they go boom, I just hope they go boom in a way that doesn't damage any of the orbital tank farm or any of that essential equipment, because it's taken a long time to build that stuff up, and I don't want to see that stuff damaged.
Yeah, I hope the tower's unharmed, and I hope it looks cool too if it has to happen.
Right. I think that's a given. It will look cool, no matter what.
I feel like I can stand the booster explosion, but if I see the tower tipping over, I would be very sad.
Seeing how long it took to build everything on there, from making the foundation and now putting the chopsticks on, that would be very sad. But I bet they built it to withstand that.
I base this on absolutely nothing other than my own desires, but in a fight between a booster and the tower, I still say tower wins.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the size of the tower.
It's beefy.
The booster is big, and then you have the tower just like, nope, you're not big.
Yeah, you're not that big.
a landing super heavy booster is a formidable opponent, of course, but it's mostly empty, right? Especially right at the point where it's going to be next to the tower itself. It should be, in theory, mostly empty of propellants. So it's really just kind of a giant, many-ton soda can, less, and it's not really like a fully fueled kind of bomb sort of thing. But this is just me completely speculating out of nowhere. Tower wins. I hope we don't have a rift to find out, but I bet tower wins.
In this episode of Rocket and Support Stages Fight.
All right, Mark Thundercliff says, are you surprised SpaceX are taking such a massive step after just one successful landing with SN15? I think I was surprised. Now it kind of seems like, okay, well, that's SpaceX being SpaceX. Like, they checked this box, and now they're like, yeah, let's move on.
To be fair, landing is not required for the orbital test flight. We know they want to do splashdowns, so in a way they kind of proved their point, and now they can collect more data while advancing. So they really need, or they really want to test the TPS. They want to test the whole stage in flight, and they can still test how it behaves at landing with these orbital test flight without it being critical right now. So I don't think they really moved away from it, but included more in the testing.
I mean, there's a variety of other factors at play as well to them doing more testing like they had been doing. I don't know how many more of those tests the local community would have, appreciated. Maybe like part of how that decision might have been made is, well, we landed it. Now let's move on to the next test that gets these things further away when they might explode. But I mean, it's hard to say. I was definitely sad that they stopped testing after SN15. I wanted to see more launches, and
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people in the area would have loved to seen it too, and I'm sure all of our viewers would have loved more. Hopefully, we get a good variety of testing going forward. I mean, I'm just excited to see an engine test again. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got great views. I was wondering earlier if we would have a view that was good enough to tell which engine fired or whatever, and it looks like we've got a nice view underneath Ship 20.
Yeah, beautiful. Oh, that shot.
Look at
right
that
there.
right there. Oh yeah.
You can see the condensation increasing, and more clouds coming from below the ship. It's getting more visible, especially the one on the left side.
Yeah. Adrian, have you refined your timeline at all?
Yeah, a bit, but the problem is that after the Monday test, I basically would need to suspect that this is a complete new timeline. So it's not really as in refining, or more as in looking if they really made a new timeline. So
Are we still following the SN15 timeline?
Yeah, the problem is that I missing the indicator of a methane vent, or the upper tank vent we saw before. That was not present for the pre-burner test, and we are past that basically at this point for this test as well, if they are still following the same test procedure. So I'm not sure if that methane or upper tank vent is still there. So yeah, that I'm basically flying a little bit blind until tri-vent, because I'm so far not seeing any new indicators that I can use. But the condensation is increasing.
Talk to me about tri-vent. We saw
Oh yeah.
we saw some kind of vent down on the aft section that was kind of pulsing the whole time. Is that sort of, are you thinking that's new tri-vent?
Yeah. I think it was. But on the other hand, they, of course, since they never make it easy, changed the timing again with that. And I really tried to spot if there was some sort of change in that tri-vent that indicated that we were at the normal point where we used to be when tri-vent started. But so far I have not seen that. And yeah, it's a bit hard right now to really use any good indicator. I'm still tracking to about 717, which from what we see right now, I think is still a good guess. But we'll see. I'm really curious how they. I mean, so far this looks more standard than the pre-burner. The pre-burner was a little bit more strange than this. This is more standard right now.
Interesting.
Man, it's so nice having you on these streams rather than typing to you in Discord like, hey, what's the?
Oh, yep.
That's what it used to be since SN8, by the way.
Yep.
That was also so fun to type
Yeah, it
with
was.
you in the channels.
And then we could be like, Oh, breaking! I've heard from our back channel in Adrian. Blah blah blah. We can sound all official. That was fun. That was good stuff.
And then he starts
Yeah.
second guessing himself. He's like, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe not. I could be wrong."
Oh,
And it was fun because we were.
sometimes- Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say it was fun because you were just straight up DMing us. It's not like you're even in like the Discord and you're just DMing one of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always ask who can I DM today to get predictions to you, and you would always put me, yeah, you can use this person. It was fun.
All right. So let's see. We've been on for about an hour. We're sort of roughly predicting, hopefully some action here in about 20 minutes. Does somebody want to give sort of a rundown? Anybody that may have just been joining us, why are we all here? What are we doing? Ian, you wanna tell folks what they're here for to watch?
Yeah, I'll take that over. So we are here expecting to get a static fire test of Ship 20. That is the Starship that is right in the center of your screen there. Ship 20 is expected to take flight as part of the first orbital flight test of Starship, which is very exciting. So this is a major milestone here. They're testing the engines, making sure that the Raptors work. Now, Ship 20 has 2 Raptor engines installed, one sea-level Raptor and one vacuum Raptor. We are not sure exactly which ones will be fired tonight. Maybe they'll do both at once. Maybe they'll do one at a time. We're not sure what to expect here, so we're finding out alongside all of you. But this should be an exciting time. We are probably about 20 minutes-ish away right now from what Adrian expects to be a T0. And again, this is a new vehicle, so the timeline is very flexible, and plus there may be holds in the countdown. We don't have any insight into SpaceX's internal comm loops, so again, we're watching alongside with you guys.
Yeah, speaking of holds, we know that ULA utilizes these built-in holds, and with Falcon 9, SpaceX has never had those built-in holds. I've wondered if maybe with Starship they will have these built-in holds. Like Atlas has a built-in at like T-4 minutes, and you guys have any opinions or thoughts on whether they'll utilize these built-in holds? And maybe even explain like what's the benefit of having these built-in hold?
Yeah.
Built-in holds. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead, Adrian.
Okay, built-in holds gives you at some point gives you the ability to troubleshoot things without directly resetting the countdown.
Sorry, is
Look
that
at that.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's way too early.
Oh.
And not way too early, like 3 minutes too early-ish, 3 to 4. If we go by it's complicated. Okay, let's check that. Like for example with the Falcon 9, since the Falcon 9 is basically locked in as soon as they start fueling, they, with any issue that comes up that delays the countdown, they are basically recycling. So that having a built-in hold or having like areas where you can change things helps you with the countdown being maybe not that reset intense. But on the other hand, for Falcon 9, SpaceX managed to make it pretty reliable with the countdown. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Musical Wolves, one of our regulars. Oh, that's a nice, beautiful vent there. Musical Wolves saying, no issues with the TPS if it's the tile projectile system. Will there be a T-10 minute tile vent?
Oh dear.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And speaking of vents, I actually have a question for you guys. So does Ship 20 have like a tri-vent, or is it just that single mono vent, I guess? Because you can't...
There's only 2 engines on it, so we wouldn't expect the normal
Yep.
triangle engine chill vent with 3 ports.
Very true, actually. Yep.
But there are 2 engines on it, and we're only seeing the 1 port, which I'm assuming is the engine chill vent. So
Yeah.
it is hard to say if when it has 3 or 6 engines on it, what that will look like. We're kind of in new ground there. But yeah, it's a really good question.
Yeah, and with the previous prototypes, the tri-vent, they were equally spaced around Starship, but you really couldn't do that now because you've got TPS installed and you can't put a vent underneath the TPS, right? So if I guess if they had 3 vents, they'd have to all be on the leeward side, right?
Yeah, you'd want to, because you don't want to have any gaps in your thermal protection system.
All right. Let's see. Ricky Buse says, how do we think they will get power and data to the chopsticks? Seems like the cables would need to be protected so they don't get torched.
Yeah, the cables they definitely would have some sort of protection. I mean, launch pads do have moving umbilical arms. You see it with the Saturn V, the Delta IV has it. I mean, even the Falcon 9 with the strong back sort of. So yeah, protecting cables and umbilical lines, all of that from the power of a rocket launch is not that unheard of. It doesn't seem like that major of a problem with the chopsticks.
Want to hear my current prediction with as many ifs as I can include in it?
Yes.
Okay.
So with 70927 for Triwand, we are looking at if everything holds and if everything is the same at 71330 ish. But we'll see.
13, you said?
Yes, 71330. So in about 9 minutes ish.
I love how you give us to the second and say ish. Like you don't have to necessarily pin yourself down there. You can just say 7. You can say 13. You don't have to say 1330. But I love it. No, I love the precision. It adds an extra layer of how close is Adrian gonna get.
Yeah.
We'll see. Probably not close.
All right. Rob Crawford saying cheers for a good test from Cape Canaveral. Well, hopefully we get a good test. Saw Searcher and Bob and Doug at the port yesterday. Well, that's very cool. Yeah, it's always cool to go down to the port. You can see actual rocket ships or ships that support rocket happenings.
I don't know about you, Steven, but one of my favorite things about doing that is when people are just like, what's going on? Why are you here with a lot of cameras? And you point over the thing, and you're like, that's a rocket. It just floated in on a barge.
Yeah.
And then some people are like, and drive away, seemingly how did you not react to that at all? But some people are mind blown. They're like, wait, it's a what? I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes when you try to point it out to people, it's hard for them to see because it just blends in with the sort of industrial look on the north side of the port. And so, I've met people and been like, hey, did you guys catch the rocket over there? And they're like, what now? What? Huh? And they're looking and looking, and they can't see it, because they're always, charred up, and it just kind of looks like a chimney of some sort.
You're like, what, that off-white smokestack over there? You're pulling my leg.
Yeah. Oh, we have Siren.
That fits.
That's
I
good.
take that.
All right, yeah, Mary indicating to us that she has heard the siren. Excellent.
Woohoo!
So we're roughly 10 minutes out. I know sometimes the siren has been late. So I think we've seen the siren go at T-7 or 6 minutes or something. But
T-2.
Is that the latest that they've done before?
Yeah, SN6, I think. We had a T-2 siren. That's the point. When people tell me, but siren is T-10, I'm telling nope, it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the sheriff was like, oh, I forgot the siren. Runs to the truck and hits it.
Yeah, puts donut down, runs to car. Oh no!
So we're getting close here, and we're gonna whenever we get real close, we're gonna try to zip it so we can get some clean audio of the static fire. So let me hit a couple of these super chats and questions, and then we're starting to get down to the last few minutes, and we're gonna try to minimize talking. David Spector, do you think that the quicker time of loading is due to the fact that there are only 2 engines installed? Thanks for all the great work you do.
Possible.
There you go. Possible.
I was
Yeah.
trying to minimize talking.
Yeah, I think we're
One word
out on
responses.
Yeah, remember my last prediction was way too late, so it might happen earlier.
yeah, it could literally be any minute.
Yeah.
But look at that venting. A lot of venting coming from ship 20 now.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of luck of the draw there, how that vent goes and how engine firing happens, because it seems to pulse and then dissipate with the wind. So hopefully we get a firing when it's sort of dissipated like it is right now.
That might have been a pulse.
Oh yeah, that pulse that pulse changed a bit. Now it went for like 10 minutes with the preburner.
It's a small change in how the vents on a vehicle have been laid out, but it seems so much more rockety and less prototypey, if that makes any sense. The previous vehicles all kind of had, in retrospect at least compared to this, much more of like a prototype vibe, whereas this venting looks like I'm seeing a rocket on the pad at Kennedy or Vandenberg or something.
Yeah.
Agreed. And the tiles really sell it too. It looks beautiful with the tiles.
Yeah, those Elvis sideburns, man.
I love all the prototypes in this shot. It's 3 prototypes right now.
Wait, what's the third prototype? I only see 2. Oh, wait, I'm stupid. There's Booster 4 behind Ship 20. Never mind.
Right.
Yes. If my prediction is correct, 3 minutes.
That
I'd
vent
say
is-
you're already fantastically close. 3 minutes, you're not.
Yeah.
What were we going to say about the
I
venue?
really like to get into the seconds.
You will by the time ship 21 comes around.
Yeah.
But that vent is really pulsing.
Yeah, we're close.
Yeah, we saw something similar with the pre-burner test. This is an interesting new behavior that hopefully we can gather some context on as we get more data points and Adrian refines his spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that.
$90 seconds-ish.
I love the aesthetic with all the plumes and the clouds floating around at night, like at dusk.
Yeah, the lighting right now for this test is absolutely gorgeous. Look at the just the color on the stainless steel from the sunset is just beautiful.
Yeah. And did the pad lights just turn on there?
Yeah.
Under a minute away from Adrian's predicted time that we stress is a prediction.
I'm kind of surprised we don't see frost. Or am I just not seeing it?
No, good point. I'm not. Also, no header tank vent today like we saw on the pre-burner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they only load in a little bit of fuel at like the bottom of the tank domes, so
20 seconds from predicted I stress predicted T0.
Ah, man.
I mean, prediction. It's your second prediction
Yeah.
for an orbital class starship. Anytime in the next 5 minutes, I would say you've done an excellent job. I mean, plus or minus 5 minutes from your second prediction for an orbital class starship, I think is a pretty good starting benchmark. I know you like to get really accurate, and you have gotten insanely accurate, but that's why we stress it's a prediction, and a lot of behaviors of the vehicle have changed, and we're still figuring this out alongside everybody watching, but
Yeah,
still
agreed.
could be moments away.
Be funny
Move
if it
Siren.
happened at your initial prediction. Wasn't your initial prediction 717?
Yeah, initial was 717. And based on the siren and based on all the indicators, we should be really close.
Siren was at 506, or sorry, 706 roughly. So somewhere around 716. If the siren was at 10 minutes, which we have said before, it fluctuates, but either way, any moment now. What is that coming from the base of Pad B? Do you guys see
That's
that?
suppression water.
Aha.
Very close.
There we go.
All right.
That was beautiful.
Yes.
That looked good.
Yeah. Anybody try to count the seconds there? Seemed like about 3, maybe 4 seconds.
Somewhere around there. Felt like forever. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
about 3 seconds sounds right to me.
All right. Any any guesses on how many engines that was?
I am watching a replay right now. It looks like just one engine. Which engine? I'm
Yeah.
not sure. But it was a big plume, so it might have been the Raptor vac.
I'm watching myself here. Yeah, that looks like one. Yeah, because you can actually see. Oh, I don't know what the first bit that comes out. Like you could see. Is that the pre-burner?
I guess so, yeah. Oh, some tiles fell off of it during the fire.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
At least one I could visibly see falling.
At least it was not the Christmas tree that some people expected that just loses all needles.
Yeah, okay, yeah, 2 fell off at least.
All right. Well, hey, that's exciting, and we didn't talk over it.
Woohoo!
Be proud of us, chat.
Awesome. All right. I hope everyone's stoked. Ship 20 has its first static fire.
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big milestone. I'm definitely stoked.
Yeah, first static fire in months, literally months. The last one, as we said, was Booster 3. That was back in July, I think. The end of July. I'm trying to remember when I went to Boca Chica, because...
I think so, July-ish.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, it was missed for sure.
I'm just watching a replay over and over and over again.
Same. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's one engine.
Yeah, I could almost imagine that the other one is being blocked by one of the legs on the test stand, but I don't think that's the case. I think that it was just one engine.
You can
Yeah,
see
I don't believe so.
the cryogenics flowing through it before ignition, and it's good visibility on it only being like one stream of gas.
Yeah, I don't see two. I only see the one. I wonder if the second one could start potentially at a point that where the exposure has already caused us for it not to be visible, but it right now looks like only one to me.
And now, since we are so early in the window, what's the possibility? Oh, here we go. Here's a replay right here. Thank you, Michael. What's the possibility of going for another test? I mean, there's two engines under there. Is there any chance that we might expect to see a second static fire test tonight?
There was a time where I would say no, but I think those times are long since passed, and if they went for another one tonight, I wouldn't be shocked. Especially if that was a single engine. They have plenty of time left in the window, and they could fire both at once if they wanted to at this point, and still have plenty of time left in the window, and get data, even more. But you can see in the replay, it looks like just one blast of startup gas. I don't know what you want to call that, but thanks for Michael for stepping back and forth through that.
Yeah.
Also, we had no depressuring yet, right?
Very true.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. So what would we look for as an indicator that we might be going for a second test tonight?
Deluge system. Thanks for that new indicator, SpaceX, by the way.
Right.
We had that before, but it was never this visible. Great visibility on the deluge system here, and that's a great indicator to see if it's close. So, yeah, I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
So to explain it here for people who maybe are not familiar with this, there is some sort of water suppression system below the suborbital test stand, and we saw that going active 30 seconds before T0. So that's great to see, because that helps us to know when we really should pay attention.
Yeah, I saw that water start spraying, and I was like, what on earth? Like, to me, I thought it was vapor for a second there, but yeah, you guys correctly called it out as water. I don't think I've ever seen the sound or fire suppression at the pad that pronounced before.
Yeah.
Maybe after Monday night's little flare-ups at the base of the pad, they decided to crank that amount of water up even more. Look at that. Different angle there. You can see tiles falling.
Sound is beautiful.
Yeah, I'll shut up so we can hear it again. If you play it.
I was just about to ask Michael in the back channel if there's any way we could get audio on that, and he already came through. Let's try that again.
I hear no honking.
Yeah, there's no honk, and it's sort of like fades out. It's not like a hard stop.
It's almost like it sounds quiet. Does it sound quiet?
Yeah.
It's different.
I was just looking at Chris Bergen's tweet, and I noticed our buddy Gene from Space Padre, he commented on how it sounded quieter than usual. Maybe that's the vacuum engine. Do we know?
Maybe.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, with like if we puzzle all of the hints together right now, with us knowing that most likely the pre-burner was the RVac, with the fact that they only test one engine today, and like if you have that together, I would, and with the sound changing, yeah, I would bet on RVac at this point.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what would be really interesting is if they tested the sea level Raptor tonight, sort of getting data on both, or maybe they wouldn't even need that. I wonder
Look
if
at
we'll
the
have to wait
condensation.
for another
Yeah.
closure for them to test both at once, or... Yeah, you're right.
What is that?
That's pretty significant.
Yeah, that's more than just we have usually after a test.
Yeah, and
And
so
just
if they were calling it, we would expect to see that typical depress vent up towards the top, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of in the middle, top 2/3, kind of there.
Uh-huh. So stay tuned, folks, because there still might be more testing to go.
And we had that with SN9. SN9 had that famous triple countdown static fire day.
Yep.
Which basically, after that, I expect them to do. Basically, they could do anything at some point.
Yeah, up to that day, my answer was always like, no, I think they'd only static fire once in a day. And then after that day, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. All bets are off.
Yeah, that was very, very impressive to see.
Man, we got a dusk static fire. How cool is that?
Yeah, maybe the most beautiful static fire we've seen yet.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Yeah, great. Can they fire always at this time? Can somebody like at SpaceX ask Elon? Would be a good time.
Yeah, if you could just do your static fires in the most beautiful time of day.
Yeah.
People like pretty pictures.
Also, we've never had a non-daytime Starship launch, which is interesting to think about. That would be very cool to see.
Yeah.
Because it would just, you wouldn't be able to see it falling, or at least not that well if you didn't know where to look, and all of a sudden it would just glow orange and just flip.
You know what? Still, my number one thing I would love for Starship testing is
What?
the engineering communication feed, like we have with Falcon 9. I want to hear the countdown. I want to hear them going what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the complete countdown, like the internal loops and everything. I know we never will, but that would just be neat to hear, I think.
Yeah, to be a fly on the wall in mission control and get to hear all those little bits and bobs would be so amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. So Elon.
So now we wait and see if they go again. What were we gonna say, Adrian?
Right now I'm looking at recondenser that just started again.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, that caught my attention right now.
And we still haven't seen any depress events, right?
Nope.
That is a very interesting sign then. With the pre-burner, we did see venting, right? Afterward?
Not immediately, but yeah.
Okay.
We did see the vehicle depress, which we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, weird.
And yeah, that recondenser is really going again, which
And
is
that's
quite
not this.
interesting.
There's also not this pulsing we had before after a test where it goes on and off, and this is unusual. Let's say it's unusual also with all the clouds below ship 20. It never gets boring with SpaceX.
Never.
I'm going to try to hit some of these questions and super chats while we sort of wait and see what might happen next. Musical Wolves saying, what was on fire under the pad after the Monday's pre-burner test? Was it a robotic dog?
Yes. There was a fire. There was also a robotic dog.
Ah. All right. And also, I think now is actually a good time to let y'all know if you'd like to support the channel in a way that gets you something tangible that you can hold on to. As you can see on your screen, we've got our 2022 calendar featuring photos by various photographers on the team. So you can get that now. Get one for yourself. Get one, as a Christmas gift.
Close. 3 minutes or not.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say about the
I
menu?
really like to get into the seconds.
You will by the time ship 21 comes around.
Yeah.
But
what are we
that
hearing?
vent is really pulsing. I hear myself.
Yeah, we're close. Yeah.
Yep.
Whoops. But yeah, you can, you can get you a T-shirt, a hat, mugs, all kinds of cool stuff. And that calendar is sort of the featured item right now. Go ahead and grab one of those and get something, for Christmas. It's a great Christmas gift if you celebrate that holiday. So it's I always forget. Is it shop.nasaspaceflight.com? I think, or it's store.nasaspaceflight.com. Either way, you go to nasaspaceflight.com. There is a handy link right there on the page to take you to the store.
Yeah, you gotta love that calendar. It's got some really great photos in it, and I think November is my favorite, but I'm biased.
Yeah, there you go. It is shop.nasaspaceflight.com. That'll take you directly there. All right. Let's see. This question comes from a little while ago, but worth bringing up. Niche Ant says, "What happened to cladding the tower? They did that one little bit and then just stopped. Love your content. Thanks so much for helping me get through lockdown."
Cladding the tower.
Yeah, I know. I think they're talking about kind of how 39A has the cladding, and
Yeah.
personally, I wouldn't be surprised if they do clad the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did mention the viewer who asked the question that they did add one little bit of cladding. I don't recall that happening. So I guess maybe they're starting to do it. I don't know. It seems like I would guess based on how they did it at 39A, they would wait until they have everything installed before cladding it because it's sort of like an aesthetic thing. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. Don't need to do it yet, so they haven't done it yet. I don't remember having seen a little bit installed on there, but I could have missed it.
Yeah, same here.
Right, and Brad Dahl said, "How far into completion is the tank farm construction-wise?"
I mean, the last cryo shell just arrived. That's like a good milestone there. That everything now that is needed for this tank farm is in place. But there's obviously some other things like plumbing going on now. That so just because every major part is there, it doesn't mean the tank farm is operational at this point. So it still needs some time. They need to hook it up to the pad, and yeah. It's still in construction.
Yeah, completely guessing, I'd say between 50 and 70% complete. And that's completely guessing.
I'd agree. Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, there's a lot of piping is pretty complicated. There's a lot that you have to put down. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a lot of piping that you have to do, and the tanks being in place is great, but you have to hook up the tanks. You have to put so many pipes. You have to put like sensors in the tanks. You want to know what's inside the tanks, what's the pressure at. You need to test the tanks. We've seen them doing pressure testing with some of the tanks before, but it's still a little while out, I'd say.
Somebody in chat, I think Dextor, brings up, we're just talking about the cladding. Wouldn't the carriage and chopsticks kind of get in the way of such a thing?
Huh.
Yeah, good point.
Is that the drone? Yeah, that's
I
the
was
drone.
thinking the same, yeah.
Looks like it.
That drone lives a dangerous life, by the way. We saw it get that it's parked next to the ship, basically.
Going into
I
the
would
line
live
of
that
duty.
life. I would definitely live that life.
All right, Will Cooper. After losing heat shield tiles during prior cryo pressure tests, did they not redirect the vent stream before reinstalling new tiles? That is a good question. I don't know if we know.
I don't know
I'm not
either.
sure if I'm not sure if it's that easy to just that you can just redirect a vent stream. I mean, that's a pretty significant part, I guess, and just to replace a vent is probably not that easy on this ship.
Yeah, agreed.
And also, I am hearing in our back channel we have a replay ready to go. This comes from Beach Cam, I believe.
Wow.
Nice.
That's a great view. The beautiful pink sky behind.
That that
Fiery
is
sky for a
gorgeous.
fiery test.
Yeah.
The colors.
Yeah, and that looks about 3 seconds.
Yeah, 3 or 4. It seems to go on forever.
Yeah,
I
See
think
it one
it's-
more time.
I would think it's maybe like 2 seconds because it seems like shutdown is right there.
Oh,
And
I
I think
see, yeah.
I think you can see the flame kind of pulse in brightness. I think that's when shutdown is, and the rest of the flame is just burning off the excess exhaust. Like you could see, it gets bright, then it flashes and gets dim.
Yeah. I was thinking at first that might just be because all of the exhaust just kind of gets in the way, but I think you're onto something there.
Yeah, I think it's maybe like 2 seconds of a static fire, and then the engines go out, and then the rest of the exhaust still coming out of the engine just burns off.
I still think this looks like a good test. Like, we had tests. I think during the static fire, or something seems weird. I'm not having that feeling with this test, so that at least feels good to me.
Yeah, seems like a good test. And then we just have to wait and see what they do next. The recondenser is still kind of pulsing a little bit, but no sustained significant activity. But we also still haven't seen Ship 20 depress at all, or it's sort of just kind of hanging out there with a cloud of condensation around its base.
Yeah, the weird thing is that we see right now that this cloud is coming partially from the engine chill vents. Like, that's interesting. It's going on for a longer time now, but this is not that usual to see after static fire, because what we usually see is the tank farm even becoming more active again a bit when they basically spool it down and bring it into, I guess, in some sort of safe mode. And we also see these depress vents usually. Both of these indicators are so far missing. So this doesn't feel like spooling down for me yet.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yep.
And you can see the drone there again, hovering around, doing its thing.
And a pertinent question here from Giannis saying, was it SN9 that we saw 3 static fires in a row?
Yep.
And how long did that take? That was over the course of, what, a couple hours?
About an hour between fires. I think the first one was 1.5, and the second one was like 55 minutes ish. I have a spreadsheet for that somewhere on my desk, on my desktop, but I can find it right now.
And SN8 was the one where they did a static fire, and it launched Martite into the air, and it almost caused an anomaly, right? That was SN8.
Yeah, that should be like where they lost pneumatic control.
Yeah, and the header tank almost popped, but a burst disc saved it.
Yeah, that should be SN8 if I recall correctly.
That was a wild ride.
Yeah, right? I feel like that was really one of the last, I don't know, kind of like really crazy tests that we've seen. And we saw a bunch in the early days, like with SN3 crumpling or SN1 popping, or was that Mark 1, or was that both of them? Oh man.
They both popped. Mark 1 popped to the top, SN1 popped to the bottom, but we were not live streaming Mark 1.
Right. And then of course SN4, which oof. So yeah, I feel like that SN8 test where the header tank and the nose cone almost popped was kind of like the last crazy one that I can remember.
Fun fact, I missed that. Because I went to sleep when it looked like they were spooling down. And then the next morning I was browsing Twitter and everyone was like worrying about this header tank. And then I'm like, well, what happens?
Well, that should teach you never sleep.
Trying.
I wish. I haven't gotten more than like 7 hours of sleep since like September.
Wow, 7.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe not the best place to complain to.
Matthew Hughes with a good point, I think. To me, it would make sense to do multiple fires on the Raptor vac, as it will be required to reignite in flight. Perhaps they're doing initial testing for this.
I
Could
like
be.
that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't need to reignite during the orbital flight test, probably, but later missions it would need to, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. And also, in general, retesting relighting capabilities of your engine most of the time is kind of good if you want to use them multiple times. Also, what could be the case here is that they just tested one engine and now want to test the other.
Yeah,
Like,
it could be.
It's possible that they just decided, okay, this first engine was good, let's now test the second. Also, it could be that this is no test at all and we are just seeing something that isn't there.
All right, Musical Wolves coming in saying, what if catch goes boom with SN11 foggy day? Well,
Then sad, I think
Bummer.
is the answer. Yeah.
I'm still processing that question.
I still wish we could have seen SN11 going boom. That would have been so cool to see. Oh my god.
A mid-air
I bet it
boom,
was the most beautiful explosion so far and we missed it.
probably.
Like, it went boom mid-flight. We had never had that.
Yeah, I suspect that the PR consequences for SpaceX would have been non-zero, but the fun consequences for us as just random people would have been really high.
I'm now imagining a graph of like fun consequences versus legal consequences.
You would imagine a graph, Adrian. You would.
I always imagine graphs.
You have like synesthesia, but for graphs instead of like sound and color.
I only see numbers.
Yeah, it's just numbers and graphs.
Mike Costello, I'm not sure any of us are going to be able to answer this question, but have you all thought about infrared cameras to add to these streams as part of the testing / watching experience, especially for night tests? It would be way cool and warm and hot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's... I'm sure it's been thought about. I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
infrared
DOS has looked into it, I think, pretty significantly or extensively, and the sorts of thermal cameras that you could get any sort of meaningful data or imagery off of, and the types of lenses that they require, it gets prohibitively expensive pretty quick, I think is the answer there. It's not something that we're going to say we'll never do, but it's the sort of thing where it's so insanely expensive, and yeah. When we do it, we'll do it right, is what DOS says.
Let's see. In Oliver, with kind of a funny comment here. Stage 0 versus Stage 1. Mortal Kombat voice. Fight! talking about coming down to catch.
Fatality.
Flawless victory. Let's see. Striker XO, has SpaceX proposed catching Falcon 9? I don't think so. I
No.
think that Falcon 9's pretty much a completed system at this point. I mean, there could be minor changes down the line, but
Yeah.
any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's already so far into development, and plus, and doing any further major developments on Falcon 9 would take time and money and effort away from developing Starship. And if you already have a if you already have a working product with the Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, why change it? Like, yeah, maybe you would save a little money, maybe you save a little time, but you'd have to re-enter the development program. You'd have to experience failures again. Why bother doing that when you already have something that works?
I'm
Yeah.
reminded
Also,
of the time that they were going to make a mini Starship as a second stage for Falcon 9, and then those
Yeah.
plans pretty quickly went by the wayside because there's no sense in putting more development into Falcon 9 when they really just need Starship. So, as much as I would have liked to seen that, it's kind of in that same boat, right? Where Falcon 9 is kind of a solved problem. It's sort of a done deal, and of course, they'll continue iterating on it in small ways to make it easier to reuse and things like that. But yeah, it's kind of like a solved problem, and the problem now is Starship.
Also
Well, yeah,
from a
and-
financial and risk standpoint, like you have this huge, costly development program here going on, and Falcon 9 pays the bills. So you're as SpaceX, you're maybe at the point where like, okay, let's not mess with the thing that pays our bills, and focus on the one thing we are putting our resources in right now to develop. And yeah, they stopped developing ideas for second stage reusability at some point to focus on Starship. So
Right. And then, of course, the fact that Falcon 9 is human rated and any major changes would possibly
Oh, yeah.
change that status.
Super
Yeah.
good point.
But anyway, we have a photo from Mary that we would like to show y'all. She was out there. Oh yes, beautiful color. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
I love the deep blue with the bright flames. That is gorgeous. If you're not already, of course, you could follow Mary on Twitter. She's at Boca Chica Gal. She's always down there around Starbase, getting photos and videos for your enjoyment, so you can keep up, even if you're halfway around the world. Keep up with what's going on there at Starbase. That is just a beautiful photo. All right. Let's see. The best bacon is fried, says. The remnant of Booster 3 is a rain gauge, I suppose.
That's like a dumb. They managed to get two things in there with the super chat because of their name. You know what? You do your bacon how you want.
We
Oh,
don't
looky
bake
here.
and shame here.
Looky here, we have a super chat from Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. Thanks, Tim. Perfect thing to watch/listen to while I animate combustion instability. Thanks for the coverage. Thank you, Tim. Nice
Is
of you
that a
to
good
stop
or a
by.
bad sign for Ship 20?
Oh yeah. Oh.
No,
The,
he's animating combust-tow-in instability though. Sorry, I'm
oh. Combustoid.
Jack, you're going to scare Tim away.
Thanks, Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Tim. We appreciate
Yeah, thanks,
that.
Tim.
And also thank you. Austin DeSisto. I know that guy. Thanks for becoming a Capcom member. And if you don't know, if you become a member at the Capcom level or higher, you get access to a special NSF Discord where you can chat with other rocket nerds about all things spaceflight. And those memberships help us to keep the lights on. It's a monthly support thing where even if there's not a whole lot going on, we can always rely on a little bit of help coming our way to keep everything running.
Yeah, that Discord is an amazing place, and at this point, it's this really cool community that formed there, is chatting on a daily basis, have active voice chats. It's a great place to hang out and talk rockets and talk other things. We have like sports, tech, everything. It's great fun.
I love popping into the Kerbal Space Program channel, and I guess it's a Kerbal Space Program and gaming channel, but I love going in there and just seeing what everybody's working on or what crazy rockets people have made. It's a hoot, and if you don't have the ability to be a Capcom member, you can still hang out in the streams here, and you get the chat emoji, don't forget. So you get things too. It's not just for Capcom members and above, but Capcom and above is how you get into the Discord.
Yeah. Also, the KSP channel at this point is sometimes really cursed because of some certain members, like Novu and Harry, who tend to post very cursed rocket designs. Thanks for that.
I try to do the same, but I don't really have a lot of time to play Kerbal these days. But I mean, come on, who doesn't love a good cursed rocket like a Starship Super Heavy?
Yep.
Why? What? Stop. What?
Like not the Starship Super Heavy, but like a Super Heavy Starship.
Oh
Anyway.
no. I mean,
Like a triple booster Starship.
Yeah, give me that.
I may be biased, but I do love my Saturn V Heavy, which has staged side boosters, which is
Look at this.
something.
Wow.
Look at the condensation.
What is this? Is new.
That same vent that we were watching earlier, pulsing and whatnot, is, significantly active.
Yeah.
Wow. And a whole lot of condensation or vapor coming from the skirt area.
Yeah.
It's an amazing test night so far. Like,
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah, it looks like we are not done. Hopefully we'll get to see some more ignition tonight. Hang tight and stay tuned.
I mean, we're getting more info. That's why it's so fun, right? It's because we're slowly but steadily pulling the thread on this and learning more about what this is ultimately going to do and look like on an orbital flight.
Yeah. Like Johnny Five would say, input. That's for anybody old enough to know what that's from.
Love it.
Short circuit.
J5!
Let's see. Infinite Quantum says the first catch attempt will work because they will practice the maneuver over water until they perfect it. It's a nice thought. I hope that it goes that way.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, it seems like they're probably, if I had to guess, they'll probably do some sort of post-launch testing with Booster 4, Booster 5, so on. Because you already have them. They're going to be splashing out in the water anyway. Why not test something out? Even just maneuvering with the grid fins to a point.
Ian Glennon says, with both Ian, the best name, and Adrian on the same stream for the static fire, I'm in Nerdvana. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the support.
Thank you.
Ian.
Thank you, fellow Ian. We're a rare breed. We have to stick together.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like monthly meetings where y'all go down to like a abandoned warehouse and it's all the Ians meet?
Well, funny you say that. There is a subreddit called r/Ian
Is there?
that I am a member of.
Oh, SpaceX tweeted
Oh, what they got? What do we got?
the engine test.
Wow.
It was the Raptor vacuum engine.
First fire.
Yeah, with
Raptor vacuum
confirmation.
engine.
Look at that. Neat. So it was the
Yeah.
Raptor vacuum.
Oh, that's great.
Cool to see them doing tweet.
Yeah, really. Especially
Yeah.
from the Starhopper camera.
That's really fast turnaround on that footage. Normally we might get something later tonight or like tomorrow Elon would tweet or that's really cool.
All right. Let's see. Why? I'm not sure how I'm supposed to say this. Why Megan? Maybe. Do you think they will do a short hop of SN4 from? No, I think they mean Booster 4 from test stand to catch arms to test the chopsticks.
I doubt that.
Agreed.
The thing is that right now SpaceX seems to be very focused on getting orbital and risking your whole setup, like the orbital tower, your potential orbital class booster, with just that for a thing that you don't need for this first flight, doesn't sound very like they would do it.
Yep, agreed.
All right. See, Squift said, no question here. Just want to let you guys know your commentary makes doing my atmospheric dynamics homework a little easier. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Squift. All right, and look here. So yeah, we mentioned SpaceX tweeted. Let's go ahead and show you what they tweeted. A nice video of the static fire.
Where do you think this camera is? Is this camera on Starhopper or on the
Yeah.
drone?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say.
It seems kind of tall to be on top of Starhopper. Maybe the tower? But you can see the forward part of Booster 3 there in the foreground. I'm pretty sure that's on Hopper.
I would guess so, yeah.
Oh, you can see the deluge system pretty good on there.
That's really cool of them to provide this footage. Because, if you follow SpaceX on Twitter, they don't tweet about Starship all that much. I would say that Elon tweets about Starship more than the official SpaceX account. But this is really cool that they have given us this footage to check out from a little bit
To
of
be
an
fair,
elevated view.
Elon tweets about anything more than the brand associated account.
Huh.
He tweets a lot.
I'm still kind of reeling from that video. What a cool
Yeah.
thing to get to. We got confirmation that it's the Raptor vacuum,
Uh-huh.
and we got a really cool angle. I mean, wow.
Wow.
Oh man, Mark White coming in with a very generous $50. The water was a dead giveaway. Thanks for the coverage. You guys never fail to give us some good insight. I still think they need a flame trench. Yeah, what do y'all
Look
think?
at
You think
that
they
moonrise.
need a flame trench? Oh my goodness, get out of here.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm just
No.
yeah, I think they need a flame trench, but what do I know? I'm just a, dumb guy with a camera, so who knows what they'll end up doing. Moon.
That's beautiful. The clouds backlit by the moon just make the shot.
It's incredible. Yeah, a nearly full moon. I think it's what, just past full now? Like, I think it was full like a day ago or something like that.
That makes sense. Man, I can't wait till we have cameras that have way higher dynamic range, so we can get the moon not blown out while still having the shadows not be pitch black.
Yeah.
What we can see right now here, what I want to point out is there a ring of condensation? Right about where the lower flaps start their tilt?
Oh, I do
Is
see.
that...
Yeah. It looks like a small ring.
Yeah, that's a small ring of condensation, right?
Looks it.
I'm not seeing something here. I'm not making something up here.
No, that looks like it.
Oh, and we're venting.
Wow, okay.
Is that an engine chill vent again?
That's okay. That's cool. I'll take that. That vent is going.
5, 6. Wow. This
Yeah.
is still active.
All right. John Michael says, with chopsticks on Mechazilla, do you think we will see a test campaign soon with Booster 4, next stacking? Love the work. Live from Montreal. Hello, Montreal. Yeah, any predictions on how that will go, how they'll test out those chopsticks? We're thinking that they might be used, might emphasize the word might, be used to place Booster 4 back on the pad, right?
Yeah, I would guess so, because it's they're planning to use the chopsticks as well to stack the boosters and the ships onto the pad. So it would make sense, given that they've already installed them now and that there's still the pad itself is still not ready to support a booster. I would guess that they're maybe going to try to use the chopsticks to stack the booster.
Part of that too is that the LR 11350 or aka Frankencrane, is in a different configuration now. So if they did want to use the crane again, they would have to put the crane down and configure it back to its taller state. But yeah,
Yeah.
I bet you're right. I bet you they're going to go chopsticks. Maybe we'll see Frankencrane leave sometime soon, which would be kind of an end of an era. Same reminds me when Tankzilla left. But yeah, I bet chopsticks. That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
The
agreed.
things that's kind of confused me is where on the Starship will they grab it with the chopsticks? They just like tuck up under the forward flaps?
So you know what the hard points look like on the booster,
Yeah,
right?
on the booster, yeah.
I don't think Ship 20 has them, but in my mind, I'm just picturing the same sort of two hard points right under the two forward flaps, or in that same area. And
Then they would
would
have
that
to
not be
protrude.
sufficient?
They'd have to protrude through the TPS, wouldn't they?
Or maybe they're part of the static arrow, that part of the flap that doesn't move.
Oh. Yeah, because Ship 20 does have attachment points on it, right, for lifting?
Yeah, but they're on the nose cone, sort of where all previous starships have had. They're a different type of attach point, but they're still up there on the nose cone, not down by the fins.
I thought I swore I've seen one down by the fins, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'm misremembering.
Maybe I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. These things change so rapidly.
Yeah. But wow, look at that condensation. It seems like they're gearing up for something. Detanking, another static fire, something's happening, it seems like.
This is interesting here. Mike said, "Did you see the ship lift when static fire happened?" I don't know that would have happened, right? Because they're holding the ship down pretty securely there. So to see it rise off would be quite unexpected.
Yeah, I would say yeah. They're definitely holding it down. There's not going to be any noticeable lift, especially on a camera from this kind of distance. There's going to be no noticeable lift on it.
Here's a question from Mike D pertaining to Falcon 9. What re-entry heating mitigations does a Falcon 9 second stage have? And could Pika X be used on the Starship instead / with tiles? Not
So
sure yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so the Pika X is there's really two types of thermal protection systems. You have reusable and ablative. Starship, because it needs to be reusable, is using reusable heat shield tiles. They do not ablate, which means that when it re-enters the atmosphere, the tiles are not designed to burn off. They're designed to withstand heat and insulate Starship from the heat rather than melting off. On Dragon, it uses Pika X, which is ablative. And ablative means as it enters the atmosphere, part of the heat shield burns off, and burning off kind of gets rid of the heat, and the rest of the heat shield insulates it. So the problem with Pika X is it's ablative, and you have to replace it every few flights. So having to do that on Starship means Starship's not reusable, so they choose to do reusable thermal protection system with, I believe it's called Tough Rock is the material. Not 100% sure on that.
Musical Wolves asking, what was on fire after Monday's pre-burner test?
I did not watch the pre-burner test, so someone else will have to answer that for
I don't
me.
think we know what it was. We just know that there was a small residual fire down there. You know, it could have been some thermal blanketing or something left on one of the legs for the stand. Hard to say.
So we're getting word that there was possibly an attempt that came and went a little bit ago. Jack, have any info on that?
Yeah, if you remember that really large cloud and then activity from the engine chill vent right around 7:48 or so, It looks like they might have had an aborted attempt right then.
Huh, interesting.
Hang on, Elon just tweeted.
Okay.
Oh no.
Do we have an answer now?
No, he's just
Oh.
talking about the previous video that they just put out. But yeah, that's why I'm kind of like quiet right now. I'm looking at around 7:48:30. At the very least, we're seeing a change in behavior of the venting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see if I can actually see like turbo pump exhaust coming out of the engine bells.
I'm getting worried if they can sneak tests in like that.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of what I was thinking too. But you can see what I'm talking about though, right? Like the change in behavior of the vehicle there.
Yeah.
So it looks like there was an attempt right then to do something, but
Well, and we will wait and see if they push forward with another test.
Yeah, will be cool to see.
The fact that we still have not seen a depressment, that we still have no open road, like all the indicators we usually have when they spool down the testing, is at least like a good thing if you're interested in more testing. I feel that we have not seen indicators that they are done for now.
well, so John Krause replied to Elon on Twitter asking if they're going to go for another static fire, and Elon said hopefully. So
Oh,
there
cool.
you go.
There we go.
Cool.
Thanks, John.
So that is confirmation that it's not done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, standing by for more.
So yeah, so we've already had tonight a static fire attempt, an aborted attempt of another static fire, and hopefully we get a successful second static fire here coming up shortly.
Hopefully.
Action-packed night. Look at the moon just illuminating
Yeah.
the clouds back there. That is just beautiful.
It's so cool. It's so like we combine that with the condensation, just looks so eerie.
Yeah, this might go down as the best skies for any test. 'Cause we had
Agreed.
the dusk earlier, and now we've got the moon backlighting those clouds.
Yeah, and sort of similar to the previous aborted attempt that we saw, we have that same kind of cloud of condensation around the base of the vehicle that was sort of baffling us last time. So let's keep your eyes open.
Yeah, the reality here is we don't really have any indication when such a test would happen. So it could happen in any second now, it could happen in like an hour. It's since we are not in the usual flow of testing, it's hard to get a sense of when something is happening right now.
Yeah. All right, here was where was this question I had? And we did kind of touch on this earlier, but you know, it doesn't hurt to keep people up to speed that maybe have joined us since then. Spaceman Nick says, "What's the shark fin shape of the TPS behind the forward flaps? Does it have to do with the plasma moving around the flaps during reentry?"
I
Yeah.
believe.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Adrian.
go ahead. No, go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, it's so the way that the plasma kind of works with the vehicle, or a kind of I can't think of the right word, but the way that the plasma interacts with the vehicle during reentry, it kind of wraps around the fins a little bit, and the aerodynamic effects from the fins can sort of throw the entry heating around Starship. So and through models, through 3D models and computer models, they were able to simulate reentry and figure out where they needed to place tiles. And there was likely an area of high temperature, of high plasma, so they added some extra tiles there behind the wings.
All right, and also I'm hearing because we're going a little further into this window, and Ian, I believe you're gonna have to step out.
Yeah,
that
unfortunately, I will have to.
All right. Well, it has been a joy. Hey, at least you got to see the static fire. We may have another one later, but you got to see the first one.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very exciting stream.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've seen one of these.
All right, y'all. So yeah, that's Ian Atkinson. Make sure to follow him on the Twitters and wherevers. And Ian, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you later. Have a good night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the test window.
See ya, Ian.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. David Latsmouth says, how many Raptors on the booster will be lit in the moment of catching? It's a good question. Don't know if we know.
I don't think we know yet how many engines they would need to have that booster coming down for landing burn.
Yeah, like we know with Falcon 9, when it does its entry burn, it goes from single to 3 and then back to single before finally shutting down. And then we've seen both 3-engine and single-engine landings. So I would imagine it's not going to be all of the engines because at this point the booster's going to be much lighter. But as far as how many it will be, who knows? People within SpaceX know. Or at least have some idea. And Bob Forrester saying, just bought my calendar, can't wait to get it. Thanks to the entire NSF team for all your amazing coverage. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate that. David Dick says, any word on a TPS system for the booster engines?
Yes. Actually, Nick got a great shot of that, or at least what looks like that, the other day. What was that? Must have been yesterday? Question mark? I think it was yesterday. On Booster 4, around its Raptor engines, there's sort of a new sort of framing type structure that has gone up, sort of around the nozzles, not all the way at the bottom of the nozzles, but sort of where the nozzle starts and the thrust chamber ends, in that kind of region. So, pretty cool. It looks like they could be starting to install thermal protection for those engines.
All right. The Fritz Bits says, oh, where'd it go? Will S21 have the updated forward fins moved?
I don't know, but I don't think so. I am pretty sure, having seen in the dailies how the nose cone looks, I think S21 is basically has the same nose cone, but I'm not positive.
I think from what we saw before, it looks like S21 will be like one of these sister ships we had before with, for example, SN5 and 6 and SN8 and 9. Like these kind of ships which are really similar to each other. At least from an outside perspective. Of course, there will be internal changings to structure.
All right, this question comes from This Is Funny, and it's actually kind of an older question, so I hope you're still around. How likely is it that S20 and B4 are just ground testing articles and B5 launches S21 as the first near orbital flight?
I feel like 50-50.
Yeah. I wouldn't call you crazy if you said to me that these both vehicles will never fly and it will be the next generation. Like, that would not surprise me at all. It's possible. And also, I think we can see more frost, right?
Yeah. So much venting.
Yeah, that's a solid frost ring there, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, we had that before, that the frost ring really only became visible when it turns night. So this is another of these days where it really becomes only obvious after the sun is going down that there is a frost ring.
I'm just sitting here waiting for more red to happen. Give me some more fire.
Yeah.
Hashtag when red.
I mean, I sort of feel like all bets are off a little bit with how things are going, because if, like you said, Adrian, I'm getting worried they can sneak tests by us now.
Yeah, it's scary to not be able to predict at least like a 30-ish second time frame for a test.
Well, hopefully as we get more data, you'll be able to refine your spreadsheets even further. Sort of feels like starting over.
The problem with this test right now is it feels more like they went for like fire, then hold, and basically fire again. So it's not like they go through a new countdown sequence from the start again with the recondenser doing its usual pattern, with the tank farm spooling up to a certain point. It feels more like a pattern where they stop with the testing, never depressure, and then go again. So that's even more weird to track.
This question from Keith: how many Raptors are currently fitted? Might be a good time to sort of give another rundown for anybody that may have just joined us in the last little bit. How many engines we got? What are we expecting? What have we seen already? Adrian, you want to give a rundown?
Yeah, I can do that. So we just experienced a static fire of ship 20, of which might be the first orbital class Starship, and we are standing by right now, since it was confirmed by Elon that there might be another static fire today, and we don't know which engine, we don't know how much, and yeah, that's where we are right now. We are in this kind of holding pattern where the ship still has some sorts of fuel in it, but we don't know the timeline, of course, that SpaceX is going for right now, and the plans they have. But
yeah, and actually that static fire happened. We're at about an hour now, right? Since that happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, I forget if you mentioned it or not, Adrian, but it was a static fire of the Raptor engine. Or the Raptor vacuum engine. They're both Raptors, stupid. But it was the RVac that static fired, also confirmed by Elon on Twitter.
All right. Mike D saying, when the main GSC tanks are ready for action, do you think they'll still use the smaller tank farm?
Depends on the pad. So if they test something on the suborbital pads, I expect them to use the suborbital tank farm. And if they test something on the orbital pad, I expect them to use the orbital tank farm. So it more depends on where you're at than what you want to do. I mean, it also depends on what you want to do, because when you do an orbital test flight, you kind of need the orbital launch pad, but yeah. That's my TLDR, which tank farm to use.
Yeah. Well, because we imagine that for the foreseeable future, they'll still need that those suborbital pads to do static fires for any new starships.
I mean, they kind of always will need it for the upper stage, most likely, right? Since the upper stage, with the fins, it won't fit on the orbital launch pad. So they kind of need the suborbital test stands to test and static fire the upper stage. So I expect that, yeah, these will most likely fire from the suborbital launch pads all the time.
And Mike Smith saying it's weird to see the new fuel tanks in the background, whereas the old ones seem so small on the left side.
It's true.
Yeah, they don't look so big anymore.
I got like the vibes of like a kid like talking to his bully, like, "You're not so big now." I don't know why.
I always have these realization moments with Starbase when I watch the especially the 24-hour stream, and you have it open on the second stream.
Whoa.
That was
Whoa.
awesome. Small
And
fire
it's
looks
burning.
With no real indication that it was coming. Wow. Oh man, yeah.
I hope I didn't talk over it.
No, I think
good.
I think everybody
Look
kept
at
it
that
quiet.
huge cloud of
Wow.
dust. Do you guys think that was 2 engines? I mean, look at all that dust.
Oh man.
It could just be that Pad B is dusty because it hasn't been used in a minute, but that was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
So,
And I'm
but
gonna
I
back
think I'm not to worry someone here, but I think I heard a honk.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I don't think that was necessarily a bad honk. That was just like a normal Raptor shutdown sound. I heard what you're talking about.
It sounded different than the first test, at least. At least from what I remember from the first test, but we will see. But yeah, that's the second test in the books.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I don't know if y'all are stepping back and seeing what you can see. I personally can't tell if that's a single engine or not, but I would think that if we heard the honk, which when I'm looking back, I don't have audio on when I'm playing it back, but if we heard the honk, that would probably be the sea level Raptor. Is that right?
I mean, yeah, I see the logic of what you're going for there. I mean, that was just such a huge amount of dust. And we're hearing from Nick in the back channel that seemed like more than one, or it felt like more than one. I mean, I would agree. That looked like a 2-engine firing, but that's me speculating. But just I'm going back and looking at the replay, which we'll have a replay for you guys here shortly.
Yep. And those of you asking where DOS is, he's actually right now helping us with grabbing that replay.
That really looked like 2 engines to me, which that would be the first time ever that they've fired a Raptor vacuum and a Raptor sea level on a Starship at the same time, which is another large milestone. I mean, 2 milestones tonight, 2 big ones.
Also, I want to add this since people we're a bit worried about this. A fire isn't always that worrying because this is an engine firing, and sometimes you have like some rest gas there below the vehicle, and some insulation sometimes. So sometimes stuff burns, and it's not always a bad sign.
Sometimes
it gets hot under there.
Yeah, sometimes stuff burns. Not a big deal. 2 engines. I'm betting it was 2 engines. And I can see some more tiles falling off, but that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, we'll have a replay for y'all here momentarily.
And there's a large
there's
vent.
your depress.
That's the depress.
Let's see if it's sustained or if it just is a brief thing.
And then you've got another one, another vent pointing
Let's
right
listen.
at us.
Wow.
All right, would you call that a long depress, or is that the shorter one?
That's a short one.
That's kind of similar to the pre-burner, however. We had the short one. Let's see if that follows a long one later.
Yeah, like a normal depress would be like that same style vent, but sort of going until it peters out. That was kind of more like a pressure maintenance venting, or I don't know.
Oh, there were actually 3 vents going at that time. There was the big one, and then there was one pointing at us. And then there was another one up a little bit higher than those.
Nice.
All right, I think we have a replay ready for y'all. If I'm not mistaken. Here we go. Little bit of sustained fire underneath after that.
Yeah, but it looked like it came out of a nozzle,
Yeah, no big
like
deal.
some gas burning in a nozzle. Look, you can see it there, going back into the nozzle and then fading, I think. So nothing that looks worrying, I think.
No.
Yeah, if I was a betting person, I would say that was a 2-engine fire.
Yeah.
Again, I just keep looking at that huge amount of dust that gets kicked up. It's far more than we've seen for single-engine firings in the past.
Yeah, and also I spooled back a bit, and that beeping, the honking noise, so doesn't sound that worrying at all. I was worried at first, but yeah, I think it's fine.
Like normal Raptor shutdowns. I mean, the honks that we've heard in the past are kind of like squonk. Flare stack is venting now. I guess the vent stack is venting now.
Yeah, that fits the pattern we had at Monday.
So that would be a wrap of testing for the night, presumably. I love that we get flare stack activity.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think we call it now the vent stack, right?
Yeah, I keep saying flare stack accidentally.
I do so as well.
And I think we have another replay ready from a different angle. So let's check that out.
Yeah, you can see the live view on the right, so you're not missing anything.
Oh, that looks fantastic.
Yes, it's considerably more dust kicked up on that one.
Yeah, that's what I just keep thinking about that. I bet you that was 2 engines. That looks like a really significant amount of thrust produced. Maybe perhaps 2 engines worth of thrust.
Yeah.
How much thrust?
I would at least bet that if the first one was a vacuum, this one was at least a sea level, if not both. But the tests look significantly different, so yeah, there's definitely a difference in both tests.
I love that we got 2 firings tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And in
Also,
that replay, can we see that any tiles falling? I think one of y'all mentioned that you thought you saw some tiles falling off.
Not from this angle, I don't think. Although you can see a lot of that, like, I don't know if that's condensation or ice getting shook off the vehicle. And also there's like that bird. Sorry, bird. There's a bird like bottom by the 2 vertical black tanks. It's like it's around there. But, oh, we're going frame by frame here.
Oh, okay.
We're looking right there. Okay.
Oh, looking at tiles. Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking right there.
A lot of tiles coming off then.
Yeah. Also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think this is the first time that they demonstrated that they can refire without doing like a whole refueling process.
Yeah, good
Right.
point.
I think they never did that before.
On the what did we say? It was SN9, the one where they did 3 static fires. There was
they
a
did 3 countdowns.
detanking. Uh-huh.
Yeah, they did 3 countdowns on that.
Yeah, they were each
You
like an
could see-
hour apart, so this is something.
Yeah, this is something new, that they just can static fire, hold static fire without a major tanking going on.
You can see the vent stack is venting. Tank farm is doing its thing. I guess next we'll be looking for that depress from the ship, where the same vent we saw earlier on the ship happens, but it sort of stays open until it begins to deplete the amount of pressure that it's coming out. It sort of like peters out, right? Like when you're holding a can of air, just open and open and open, and just, eventually runs out of pressure, or spray paint, or whipped cream, any of that stuff. It's a big spray paint can, that's what I'm saying.
Also, what I want to say here, since the next 2 days people will watch probably if Raptors get uninstalled, but I wouldn't jump on conclusions that fast if a Raptor gets uninstalled that something broke, because it could also be the case that, for example, with the Raptor vacuum, they really want to look at it and inspect it after the first firing on a vehicle. So they might just remove engines for inspections instead of checking if something broke.
Yeah, it would
Just
totally
to
make sense to take
prevent
an engine off and just look at it really closely, in maybe even in like a laboratory setting. Who knows? But either way, I would, yeah, like you said, I wouldn't read too much into it if they do pull Raptors off this thing.
Yeah.
All right, as we wait and see sort of what's coming next, hopefully some kind of sign that what they're planning on doing for the rest of the night, possibly the end of the test. Who knows? Maybe going on to another test. I don't know. It's not really looking that way, right, guys?
No. Also, we had no header tank today, since that was something we talked at the beginning. They tested the header tank, obviously, at the test on Monday, but there was no header tank involved today. So, yeah, this was a main tank test. You can see that the header tank was not involved, since there was no condensation at the top.
No venting from it too that I can remember seeing either.
Yeah, like it was a totally. They basically did a normal countdown today, and they did it on Monday. I don't know what they did on Monday.
They did a Confuse Adrian countdown on Monday.
Yeah, sometimes they have weird countdowns. We had this one launch countdown that went like 1 hour, which was also one of these countdowns where I'm like, what I'm supposed to do with this data?
Throw it out. That's what.
I actually did. Like, sometimes it's the best thing to do is to eliminate data.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just to confirm the detanking, it does look like that frost ring is diminishing somewhat, I think.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident that we are in a stage of detanking right now. Like with like when I remember us watching the test on Monday, this is exactly what happened in the detanking process. With them first making the big one, having the big vent once, then the vent stack becoming active, the tank farm spooling up a bit again to go into this, like, I guess, the savings mode. This is comparable to what we saw on Monday when they spooled down a bit.
Yep.
But of course, just to add this, them spooling down the pressure right now and basically bringing everything to a lower level doesn't mean they're done, because they could still, just in case, because people might think this is for sure it's done, they could still recycle. They could still decide, okay, it's empty now, let's redo it again. So it doesn't mean the testing is done, it just means this particular fueling attempt is done.
Yeah, and for that reason, we will, as usual, stay live until the road opens back up, I think is the plan, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Keep on watching, because you never know what kind of curveballs SpaceX might throw at us. And we definitely would not want to end the stream and then, bam, another test gets spooled up. Because they do still have, about 3.5 hours left in this window?
Yes.
Kerbal Space Program, more like Curveball Space Program. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Bada boom.
I'm so excited for KSP2. Side note.
Yeah, I wish it was out already.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be at one point, right?
Yeah, I had to put vacation for next year in at work. And I was hoping they would give a release date before that, so I could just take the week off, but they didn't. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry for derailing this with KSP2.
Oh, it's all right. I'm sure there's a lot of Kerbal players out there watching the stream right now. And if you haven't, and you're interested in learning more about how like orbital dynamics works, it's not enough to get you a job at SpaceX or ULA or something, but it can take you from having almost no understanding of how it works to having a decent idea.
Yeah.
That's what it did for me. I'd been following space things for a long time before getting Kerbal, and then once I got it, I was like, oh, okay, now it all makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't understand this stuff half as well as I do without having played a bunch of Kerbal Space Program and just knowing, like, okay, orbiting isn't about going up, it's about going sideways really, really fast. And even just docking. I still stink at docking.
Oh, me too.
But it's really fun to sort of wrap your head around what you're seeing when you see like a launch provider's live stream and you see their satellite disconnecting and then doing its own thing or what have you. It's always fun. So yeah, I can't recommend Kerbal to folks enough.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Rough Riders Show, another regular around here. Thank you to the team for the new tech channel on Discord. I practically sleep there. As always, thank you to Mary for the great shots.
Yeah, that tech channel is used quite a lot on the Discord. It's great fun. It's fun to hang out there and discuss like non-rocket tech, like mobile phones and laptops and whatever.
Yeah. And the way you get access to that is by becoming a member at the Capcom or higher level. And there are lots of people in there. It's not just a couple people. There are a lot of people in that channel, and lots of good discussions about rockets and otherwise.
Yeah, like sports. We discuss sports as well.
Mm-hmm. Here's a question from Jillian Lee. I know I missed something a long time ago, but why the change from Starship to Ship? Thank you guys for all the hard work. Always so exciting.
Because SpaceX is great at naming things and sticking to a certain naming theme.
What
it would never change. Yeah, it would never change something.
It's still called Starship, right? But instead of referring to it as serial number and then the number, now we just call it ship and then the number. So it's not so much the Starship nomenclature that's been done away with, but it's the serial number nomenclature. And that's also at the same time we went from booster number and then whatever the number is to just booster. So it's just instead of BN number and SN number, now it's just B number and S number or booster number and ship number. That's the current naming, much to my chagrin. I liked SN. I liked saying Starship SN blank, and you can't really say Starship Ship 20. It just is like ATM machine. It just bothers me.
Yeah.
So this is the world we live in.
I wonder if there's like a very serious meeting when they make changes like that, or if it's just like one day Elon's like, we can just call it Ship 20. We don't need to say Starship 20, and then they just send that memo out and everybody just follows along.
I bet you it's the second thing.
Yeah. It's just on a whim. Elon wakes up one morning. He's wiping the sleep from his eyes, and he's like, "Why did we say Starship?"
Well, is that a giant amount of frost on the vehicle right now?
It actually does look like a lot of frost. I said earlier I thought it was receding, but
I think it did, and I think it might be going back the other way now. I'm not sure, but at the same time, the vent stack is still going, and it kind of looks like it's going at low pressure. So maybe that's like, vapor having been exhausted from a container sort of coldness rather than a full of propellant coldness.
Yeah, this is like, it can't be propellant if I'm really like they can't fill it up right now because there's no condenser activity, no tank farm activity. We know that spools up when they fill it up, so I don't see a way that this can be like them filling it more with anything. Not to ruin anyone's
You
hope
ruined
here.
my night, Adrian.
Thanks.
I'm not happy with 2 static fires. I must have a third.
Do you think we are greedy here?
All right, let's see. Robert Alsop says, do you think SpaceX would build a mass driver on the moon to launch small satellites into deep space?
What?
A mass
I need
driver?
to process that question.
I've heard that term before.
I know what those words mean separately.
I think no, but who knows? I think Starship is the answer for launching small satellites into deep space.
Yeah, I think that, just kind of speculating. I think the only way that launching satellites from the moon would make sense is if you actually produce them there. I don't think it makes sense to fly to the moon with your payload and then burn all that propellant landing on the moon and only to go on and then launch further, especially when you have, Starship, which is supposed to be refuelable in orbit. So it wouldn't really make sense to take your payload from Earth to the moon and then launch it again, because you'd use all that propellant. It's an extra step. It's not necessary.
I guess it would make sense if you were manufacturing the spacecraft on the moon.
Right.
And I guess a mass driver, simplified, would be like a big railgun, like a big electromagnetic catapult.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's anything we've seen any indication of SpaceX having actually worked on, but, give it 50 years, make Starship an operational thing, make it so that we can lift heavy industrial components into space at a whim, and perhaps something like this gets built on the other side of the thing I really want to see is an observatory on the other side of on the far side of the moon.
Yeah.
That would be really, really cool. I mean, I want more massive, grand observatories. That'd be really great. And James Webb is coming online, makes me really happy. And I can't help, being the greedy human that I am, think like, all right, James Webb is almost ready to go. What next?
Yeah.
At first, I need to survive a Christmas season with me being constantly nervous about James Webb. So
Yes.
yeah, that deployment sequence is something.
Yes. It's terrifying, is what it is.
Yeah. What is it? The final deployment, if they launch on time, like with the current schedule, isn't the final deployment like on Christmas Eve?
Yeah, like one of the major things that might go not great is on Christmas Eve. So enjoy the Christmas dinner, everyone.
Yeah.
I just now imagine like a bunch of space nerds refreshing their Twitter timeline at the Christmas table and being like, can't eat right now, need refresh.
Yeah. Still seeing some venting. This is not from Ship 20 itself. What is this venting? What's that coming from? Is that just
Let me
the tank
look.
farm?
Yeah, that's like the tank farm.
Okay.
The thing is, normally I would get excited right now, but the condenser is still off. So the right side of the 3 vertical tanks is really the point where I'm staring at. So basically the other side of the vent stack. We can see the vent stack right now, and the other side of these 3 tanks, the condenser is. And as long as there's no activity there, I'm pretty chill.
I don't know.
No.
Just like the...
I don't know. I'm just giving you a hard time.
At least you stopped my really bad joke there.
Jeb Kerman coming in with a question saying, is Starship going to have hot gas thrusters still?
I don't know. I know they've been eliminated on the booster itself. Good question.
This is an interesting question from Black Dragon. Uh-oh, where'd it go? Okay. Thoughts on possible 2 more static fire using fuel from header tanks? I don't know that we have any indication that they've used the header tanks on this one, do we?
So far not. I mean, we would see, like, for them to use the header tanks, they would first need to spool up the tank farm and the condenser again. And if that happens, they can tank things into the header tanks and then fire from that. But yeah, we are a bit away from that right now. In theory, possible, I would say.
All right. This one from Boss, I think. It's a bunch of letters and numbers. Did you guys think the tile solution for the heat shield will work?
Oh yeah. Just a matter of getting some small details ironed out in terms of how to get them to stay on, small details like that. And, any kind of cracking or issues like that. I mean, I think I have confidence in the tiles themselves protecting the ship. It's just a matter of other issues, like getting them to stay on, not to crack, stuff like that. And what do you think, Adrian?
Sorry, I zoned out for a moment. What?
Do you think the heat shield tiles, like that solution for this thermal protection system, is going to work?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I trust in engineers at SpaceX being really, really smart, being way smarter than I ever had the chance to be. So yeah, I trust them that they make the right decisions and that this is the way forward. So I really don't like when people pretend they can outsmart engineers at these rocket companies.
Yeah.
They are very smart people.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're infallible, but it means they probably have better insight and intuition into what is going to be a good fix than somebody on the outside like you or I.
Yeah, like if you and I think about a problem, the chances that they already thought about that is probably high.
Yep.
Matthew Brost wanted to know, have we seen a second big depress? I don't think we have. Just seen that one.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't
also-
even call that a depress. It was more just like a vent.
Pressure control vent.
Yeah. Good old PCV.
Oh yeah, we should give it all like fancy new names so nobody understands what we're talking about, because that's really helpful for new viewers.
Yeah, we got a nominal PCV on the 2.4 there.
Yeah, the SF really went well.
Oh, and Niche Ant pointing out, no hot gas thruster on ship, Elon said in Everyday Astronaut interview.
Oh, must have forgotten that. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, me too. I definitely watched those videos multiple times. I must have just, yeah.
There's just so much
slipped
there.
my- I know.
There's just so much. I gotta
Yeah.
do it again.
Yeah,
Watching it 3 times and still learning something new.
right. And Skunk Works over here, I guess this is a 12-minute-old comment here, but pointing out that the frost was increasing. I do think now it actually is decreasing.
Yep.
I don't know what the effect is called, but there's this effect when you depressure a vehicle, or it's losing pressure, that it gets but I don't know the name of that effect.
Yeah, I think one time I think I was on a stream with Chris G and was asking him about that. Like that's actually a method of controlling your temperature with cryogenic fuels while you're en route to somewhere. If you depress, it actually will reduce the temperature. It's crazy.
It's a property of thermodynamics called, oh my god, I'm gonna mispronounce this. What do I even want to try? Adiabatic cooling.
Adiabatic?
Adiabatic? Thank you. Yeah.
I don't know.
But as you expend it's physics and thermodynamics. I don't know. Ask someone smarter than me.
And Jerwa coming in with a $20 super chat just to say thank you. Well, thank you. We couldn't do it without y'all's support, honestly.
Yeah, thanks, Jerwa. That's one of those names that pops up all the time on our stream. So thanks, buddy, for all the support.
Rick Bowen coming in and just pointing out water deluge started 10 seconds before engine fired. Is that what you've got jotted down there, Adrian? Did you make a note of how long before fire that we saw the water deluge coming on?
No, but I'm at the point where people just tweet that at me, which is great. So, Mr. Tank Watching tweeted at me saying that the first one had 31.25 seconds between deluge and static fire, and the second one had 23.70 seconds between deluge and static fire. So thanks for that. And yeah, seems like about 20 to 30 seconds before firing, they spool up the deluge system. And yeah, also just to mention that again, they did 2 static fires today, 1 hour and 2 minutes between both, and yeah, did a pretty fast reattempt of firing these engines below ship 20 again.
All right, and Enzo asking, are those white spots lost TPS tiles? Yeah, it does seem to be the case that a couple of those tiles fell off. And then also Breakneck Trent saying, how do we get these heat shield tiles from falling off? Thoughts?
Some chewing gum. Just, little stick of chewing gum, put it between the tile and the steel. What could go wrong? That'll be perfect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, SpaceX probably still learns about the properties of these and how to attach them properly, and that's one of the things they learn with these tests: how they behave during static fires, how they behave during vibrations, and with that they can improve their attachment mechanism and make sure they don't fall off next time. That's one of the many things SpaceX can learn from these tests.
Chad is saying Gorilla Glue, duct tape, JB Weld, Flex Seal.
All possibilities.
That's great.
Yeah, and I would say sometime, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, Nick and or Mary will be out there to get some photos, see how many tiles may have been lost. So, as always, make sure you're following them on Twitter, and of course the main @NASA Spaceflight Twitter account will obviously be retweeting those, so make sure you're following that. Oh, Nick saying definitely tonight in the back channel. Well, once that road opens, then yeah, I'm guessing Nick is going to be out there to see what he can see. And Austin DeSisto, a friend of ours actually, saying thanks to Nick and Mary out in the field and you guys on console. Meanwhile, I'll keep searching for hoppy photos to figure out which cam that was.
Oh, I think I know which one it is. I'll see if I can tweet a photo, but it's gonna take me a minute to find it. But yeah.
Okay.
It's really cool, like, to have people here in the call, like you two that were in Boca. Like, for me as a European, that's a big trip, and to imagine standing there, it's just cool. And one day
it definitely helps with perspective when you've seen it on stream. I had seen several tests and things on stream, but actually going there and seeing the layout and everything and just the scale of everything with your own eyes, it really helps to, I don't know, just kind of know what you're looking at when you're seeing these streams.
Yep, 100%. I can't wait till you get to go, Adrian. I know you're gonna be like a kid in a candy store.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just plan to have like a chair, sit there somewhere in the grass and look at everything for like hours and drink something. Like, that's my plan. Just sit there, enjoy everything, and yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's my first day.
There's so much to see at all times, everywhere you look. I've talked about how I've been there to help out with the daily videos, and every day, it's like, I really hope there's something, something interesting, sort of like a selling point for the daily videos. And Starbase never fails. There's always something interesting going on, I mean, everything is interesting out there, but there's like every day there's something like, oh, hey, everybody, check this out. This happened.
Yep. It's pretty crazy, the pace of things out there.
Yeah, one day I'm gonna see it.
You gots to.
I haven't been in like 2 months, and I feel like my teeth are starting to itch. Like,
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Friendly, remember that if you're a person like me who can't go right now, you always have the opportunity to watch the 24/7 stream Starbase live.
Right.
To enjoy every single second.
Yeah, I love Starbase Live for that. It's really great. It's been so nice to have. I just have another screen next to my 2 monitors that's just constantly has Starbase Live on. I love it.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to the people who help operate it on a daily basis. Cool team.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Starbase Live and Fleet Cam. I use Fleet Cam all the time to check it, because I'm only about 10 or 15 minutes from the port, but I can check Fleet Cam anytime and see if there's anything going on. And also, Fleet Cam just celebrated its 1-year birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Has
cool.
it really been a year of Fleet Cam already?
Uh-huh.
Wow. Time flies when you're chasing rockets.
Yeah. Oh, this is a nice comment. Kevin Vandriel saying, what I love about your channel is you follow stuff much more closely than most others, especially live. Great work, and Ad Astra. Well, thank you for that donation and the nice comment there. Okay, here's Tom Murphy saying, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I saw an idea that SpaceX was going to use a tower top mounted crane to lift ships on top of boosters for stacking.
I think that was in the original renders of the interplanetary transport system, like the videos they put up, but that has been outdated and replaced right now. What they now plan to do is use the chopsticks of Mechazilla, which is the giant tower, and they basically use these chopsticks to put the things on the launch pad. and also catch stages.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be super cool to see that thing work for the first time. And like the tank tread thing, will they'll like rotate it, however it needs to be rotated to fit perfectly onto the launch table.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild machine to see function. Can't wait. So we're just waiting for that final depress and the road to open, but they do have the window is till midnight tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So several more hours in the window. Who knows what they could do at this point, which is why we're standing by. This could be the end of testing. We could just be waiting for that final depress and the road to open, or they could get right back into it. We don't know at this point. And so we're sitting here hoping to see what we can see.
Yeah, and we want to make sure that we don't miss any action, so that's why we stay alive until the roadblock opens, because there is the possibility for a recycle. And yeah, the worst thing would be to end the stream early and then SpaceX decides to, hey, we want to do another test again. And yeah.
Yeah, and we can always start the stream back up again if that actually happens, but we never like to do that because then we got to kind of scramble to do the intros and all the things. You just never know.
Yeah. Never hurts to just stay on a bit longer to
Sure enough.
catch the nice question.
Let's see, I'll run through some super chats. Philip Moyer, thanks for the support there, buddy. Uncultured, talking about a frost line near the header tank a while ago.
Yeah, I saw what he meant, but I think that was just a weird reflection.
Musical Wolves asking about tile loss due to depress vent. Or no, they lost too many tiles, so depress vent. I suspect that's a comedic comment there. Thanks for the support, Musical Wolves. And for founding the Thomas Fan Club. Tim Gore, thank you for the support. They say, I just applied for an internship at Maston Space Systems and knowing the sort of folks who work there, surely at least one of them is watching. Hi, well, good luck there, Tim Gore. Jared Smith, thanks for the support. Cole Logan, thank you for the support. They say, my youngest son, 2 years old, tried to blow out the fire. Nice. Kid's gonna be a firefighter. Uncultured, thank you for the support. Chester Copperpot? Why does that name sound familiar? What is that, a Goonies reference?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure that's a Goonies reference. That's like the name of the guy who, the legend of the I don't even, it's been a while since I've watched Goonies. Let's see, LB, thank you for the support. We tell DOS we need a camera on top of the tower looking down at the chopsticks and OLP. I'm sure if you let him put a camera there, he would put a camera there. Let's see. Moldy Space Industries again with Vactor Fan Club. I do love the name Vactor for the Vacuum Raptor. It's just got a nice ring to it.
Yes, Chester Copperpot was Goonies, yes.
Excellent. Goonies never say die. Louis Andre Bergeron, thank you for the support. And say, do you think Elon watches the stream sometimes and laughs at everyone trying to guess the timing? That's not implausible. He has commented on the stream before on Twitter, although it's been a while, so not implausible. Who knows? Christopher Lloyd, thank you for the support. Where's DOS? DOS Fan Club. Although you're misspelling DOS's name, it's DAS. He's not an operating system. Well,
right.
He's kind of an operating system.
Yeah.
He's kind of a machine. So, but no, it's DAS.
What does the D in DOS stand for the operating system? Digital or disk or?
I don't actually know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember.
Disk. We're hearing in the background. It's disk. Thank you, DOS.
Yes, I'm familiar. I remember using DOS back in the day, and yeah, like it was not like It's not like Windows of today where you can see everything on your screen and you kind of know where to click and stuff. There was no clicking. It was all typing. You had to know your commands off the top of your head to be able to function in DOS.
Yeah, no WYSIWYG for you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dylan, Foxy, thank you for the support. They say, do you think it will take, or how long do you think it will take to install the chopsticks winch cable? Complicated because of the height of the tower. I don't think it'll take them very long. It's not like a suspension bridge or anything, right?
Yeah, and probably no more complicated than running the cables on a crane, right?
Yep.
Because they have to, when they like extend the crane or shorten it or whatever, they have to run those cables again. Probably a very known problem. They know exactly how it's done. It might take a minute. I don't know how long it would take, but definitely a known thing.
Wheelie 98 with 2 engines, partial fuel load, and no payload. Could this Starship do the first orbital test? No. I guarantee you they're going to put more engines on for the first orbital test. Eric Jacobson, thanks for the support, bud. They say, how many jokes do you think get made about TPS reports from Office Space? I think a lot. In fact, I've been guilty of doing the very same. Wolfrim, thank you for the support. They say, does it look like 2 streams close together? Okay, we're getting back into like some really old ones. Thanks for the support there, buddy. Will Kohler, thank you for the support. And Tyson, thank you for the support. Super appreciate everyone super chatting tonight. All of our new members. Don't forget, we have the YouTube membership program. You get chat emoji no matter what level you sign up at. Red team and above, you get the member preview videos, and Capcom and above, you get Discord access. So don't forget the member program. Thank you so much to all of our members tonight as well. And also the NSF calendar. There's an NSF calendar. Go to shop.nasaspaceflight.com and buy the calendar too if you want to support us that way, or whatever merch tickles your fancy.
I bought it and I can't wait for it to arrive.
Same.
Activity is really quiet right now, but still an open road.
Yep. Just waiting on that sweet depress vent.
Let me check. I'm curious right now. What was the timeline on Monday?
Oh, I like analysis. It sounds like we're gonna do some analysis.
Yeah, I'm just like curious how long it took them from the firing to from the last firing to the road opening. Let me see.
While you're doing that, I will answer some more questions. How about? Don't forget, you can at NASA Spaceflight in chat, and your question will pop up in our question queue, and we will more easily see it so that we can answer it.
I like this one. Futurism memes saying, why doesn't SpaceX just land the rockets? Catching them seems like unnecessary work and potential failures. How much weight do the landing legs even add to the rockets?
I mean, and it's a non-zero amount, and you have to land them on something. I wish they would just do legs. The catching seems crazy and bonkers to me, and at some point they're going to have to do legs, right? For Mars, for the moon, for point-to-point, presumably. But, yeah, that's a really good question. All about removing mass and complexity from the vehicles themselves, I suppose. You can have infinite mass on the ground side on stage 0. You cannot have infinite mass on the ship and booster. So, I mean, a lot of decisions are stemming from that.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about it like, I don't think the precision that they need for catching versus landing, I don't think it's much of a difference, right? Because you still have to, in that last little bit before you get to the ground, you need to be pretty much, vertical and coming down smoothly. And so if you're going to be landing precisely on a location on the ground, then it's probably not that big of a difference to have it happen next to the tower, and maybe that's sort of their thinking.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. Maybe on all of their test launches so far, even the runs, they pretty much got onto the pad every single time, and that's a pretty small area. And if they are confident in their accuracy, then I can see that being a decision that makes sense to make.
The final depress wind on Monday was 33 minutes after the pre-burner test. So we are already going longer than that since the last static fire.
Marcus Stoll, thank you so much for the very generous support there, and no comment for me to riff on. Just thank you. Thanks, Marcus. And Matt Kroc, thank you for the support. They say, will Booster 4 and Ship 20 be stacked with the chopsticks? Yes, that's what it seems like.
I like this comment. Credence saying, DOS bots use DOS, but improved to it is DAS equals DOS automated system. Nice.
Here's one. I'm not going to try and pronounce your name because I know I'll just get it wrong, but they ask, can I go to sleep 4 a.m.? No, you cannot.
Joker LOL saying, why are they doing a static fire test when flight is still far away? And we did kind of touch on this earlier, but I'm guessing Joker may not have been around for it. Why would they be doing a static fire this early in the game?
They can gather all kinds of data from firing Raptor vacuum vertically, as well as Raptor vacuum vertically next to a sea level Raptor firing, which is not something they can do at McGregor. So there's all kinds of data to be gathered, and they're constantly iterating on these engine designs, just in the same way that they're iterating on the ship and booster designs. And so any data that they can feed into that iteration process is better than not having that data.
Here's a good point from Israel Brewster saying, why the concern about the TPS? Thousands have stayed attached, including through flights. Only a handful have fallen off. Surely a minor issue.
The problem is that with these TPS, it's not really a majority thing, but it's as soon as you have one TPS tile missing or like a few, you have heat during re-entry that will get to that spot, which you try to protect, and that is not good. Like a big chunk of TPS tiles missing is probably for it wouldn't be optimal for a re-entry. Let's say it that way.
Once you lose one, you can get like sort of an unzipping effect where multiple ones down the line can be affected. I do wonder how resilient Starship will be to tile loss versus the space shuttle, because Starship has that stainless steel skin versus shuttle had the aluminum I guess skeleton, and aluminum has a much lower melting point. So I don't know how much that'll play into it. Maybe if they lose a tile on Starship, it's not the end of the world. But it's a fair point from Israel Brewster there. Like, thousands have stayed attached, including through flights. So we should have some confidence in their ability to stay attached. It's more of a matter of the tricky ones in tricky places. Will they be able to get those to stay on? And I think surely they will. But it is sort of quizzical how everybody is so concerned about a few tiles falling off here and there. It's a problem now, but we're still in the prototyping phase, and they're definitely going to figure that out.
And Justin Mead saying, will it be necessary to static fire all engines at once to test structural capability, especially for boosters since it hasn't even flown yet?
We, like the sad answer here is we don't know. With Falcon 9, for example, SpaceX really tries, or like they fire all 9 engines, but at this point we don't know if they will do a full like 29 engine static fire with super heavy. So they could also do, for example, a staged ignition where they first fire like one half and then the other half, or something like that. So we don't know at this point, sadly.
I bet they do all at once at some point.
I hope.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to see a 29 engine static fire.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
And Niche was asking, did we hear a siren before the second/third static fire attempts? And I can tell you that Mary informed us. What?
I think.
That looks like a depress if it stays active and starts to peter out after a while.
And just to confirm here, there was no siren for the second static fire.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to be quiet in case we could hear this venting.
Yeah, I was just going ahead since I didn't hear anything. So.
Yeah,
This
but yeah,
is
Nick and Mary
definitely-
both confirming no siren for that second one.
This is definitely a depress. It's staying open.
Yeah, you can see the
pressure
lower
from
one
either
fading
vents is-
out.
Exactly. It's already started to fade out a little bit.
Yeah, here we go. Two static fires in one night.
What a night.
Yeah. It's been a good stream so far. And there it goes. It cuts out right then.
I bet they'll open up again in a second. Of course, now it's just going to prove me wrong.
They like to do that.
Somebody in the control room was like, Jack said we were gonna open again. Hold.
Missing Tools is asking, are they producing usable amounts of natural gas from the Sanchez well?
I don't think so. We've only yep, and there goes the vent again. We've only seen them moving nitrogen trucks and oxygen trucks from the propellant plant to the launch site so far. So I haven't seen any methane production activity at that site yet. At least none that's been visible to. And I do believe with a natural gas well, you're going to need to have a flare stack, and we haven't seen a flare stack over at that site either.
I'm not sure who would be best to take this one. Ivan P saying, watching progress on Starship and SLS is so cool. Do you know if there's any progress on Long March 9?
Oh man, that I don't know.
I think Long March 9 is still in the very like early stages of getting into really interesting areas. I'm not even sure. I think there was an update a few months ago when it might fly, but we are still years ahead of the first flight of Long March 9, I think. So, yeah, not really any big updates there.
And Revelo saying perhaps they only used the header tank on Monday for the pre-burner test, and that's why it's different compared to today. Any thoughts on that?
Plausible.
There is a precedent actually for shorter countdowns with header tank static fires, which was I think it even was SN8 had a header tank static fire, which had a shorter countdown than usual. I never included these in the data, since they're a bit odd. But there's a precedent that if they use the header tanks, the countdown gets shorter.
Yay for precedent. I'm so glad we have you and your data at our disposal.
I'm glad I started to organize it a bit better. So I can just open the spreadsheet and look at what I noted down before.
Here's a point about the TPS. Since the tank walls, this is from Star at Stone. Oh, wait. Yeah, we could just barely hear that, so I didn't want to talk over that. What was this? It was making a sort of a point about the TPS. Since the tank walls are ship walls, even one tile missing can change temperature/pressure in the tanks, and could be even worse than that. I mean, you know, those tiles are there for a reason. You don't want to go losing them.
Do I spot a bacon discussion in the chat?
She'll find out.
Yeah, look at the vent stack. It's almost completely faded at this point.
It's barely even active anymore.
Also, the frost is completely gone from Starship.
So next is what we would see road opened.
Yeah. The last remaining thing for this test to conclude.
Watch, they just recycle and go for another static fire.
I mean, they've got the time to do it.
They do. That's why I joke. Hopefully joke.
I mean, I wouldn't mind a few more hours of sleep.
I also wouldn't mind some more data.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I would prefer a second recycle over just holding, because a second recycle gives more countdown data. Yeah, now I think about it, I would prefer a static fire over sleep. Yeah.
And to go right along with that, Vandana Bansal saying, can Ship 20 conduct more static fires today? Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Quantum Spin saying, would the vent near the middle of Ship 20 be a nitrogen purge?
No idea. I suspect that would just be a liquid oxygen vent, but I don't know. Oh, look at that!
Looks
Road's
like
open.
We have
cars.
road open.
Hooray!
Oh,
Is this full reopening, or is this just employees able to go out to the pad?
Good question.
this. Let me. I'm not sure if there's still someone at the roadblock, but this at least looks like it might be over.
Yeah.
Signs point to it over.
Yeah, and as you can see, Michael has switched the timeline over to road reopened.
Yeah, we're just
And-
confirming road is open.
Yes, yep, road is open. Yep, so Nick has confirmed, and so keep an eye out. He's going to go out there, check on tiles and whatnot, and I believe we're going to go ahead and wrap it and stay tuned for anything, because of course Starbase Live never stops. So we're just going to go ahead and throw you on over there now that the road is open. We appreciate y'all coming and hanging out with us. And until we have something else to do a commentated stream, we'll talk to y'all later.